What's going on there, YouTube? This is SEL0320 hosting another spoiler discussion. This time it's going to be on the epic movie, The Avengers Age of Ultron, that most everybody has seen at least once or twice. But we're going to be going through a full, at least 2 to 1.5 hour discussion on it, and we want all of y'all to chime in on it. And I'm going to let everybody that's here currently right now introduce themselves and their channels. So I guess Ash, you first.
I'll do it first because I'm cool. I'm Ash from the Captain Vitus Show. It's a really nice show. You should come check it out. Movie reviews, anime reviews, game reviews. And we got Vision bobbleheads. Where else can you get Vision bobbleheads except everywhere? So come over to my channel. Also, I'm hyped to be here. I forgot to mention that. I'm really excited. I was about to watch a movie and then I was like, oh crap!
Literally.
Yeah, Rihanna can confirm that.
He was just like, oh, I forgot. He thought it was an hour later.
Yeah, I was about to watch They Came Together again. I was like, yeah! And nope.
Oh, no.
But I'm here, so I'm happy. And rock and roll.
Sweet. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. Do you want to go, Rihanna? No, you go. Okay. I'll go next. Hi. I'm Nicole from Nix and Nax and Nix and Nax blogs. I do movie reviews, TV reviews, trailer reactions. I'm vlogging around Europe at the moment, and I do random videos on that channel as well. And I'm pumped to talk about Avengers. I mean, if I can talk about Avengers, then I'll just keep talking about it because I have no one else to talk to except for all my YouTube friends. So this is the best place to like vent and talk about all my feelings. So this is perfect for me.
Awesome.
Rihanna, do you want to go next? Oh, I'm just like, there's people like showing up from nowhere. I'm just like, there's people everywhere. Hi, Rihanna from Rihanna. Pumped to be here also. It's literally been like the last 2 weeks I haven't shut up about Avengers Age of Ultron. It's been like Star Wars for like 2 days, and then it's like Avengers.
Alright, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
Alright.
Yeah, movie reviews, all that jazz. Same as Nicole, all that jazz. All
So,
that jazz.
Jarrell and Chris, all right, y'all just coming in. So what we're doing, we're kind of introducing who we are. And I know in your case, Chris, you more got like the podcast, but go ahead and introduce what you're doing, and then Jarrell, same thing for you with your YouTube, and we'll give you that spotlight right now.
I do a show, Three Black Geeks podcast. We got multiple other shows that we do. Our main Three Black Geeks show, we just cover, random topics, just, older 80s, 90s, movies. Just movies of different eras and stuff and different kinds, bad and good. We got another show, Wrestle Corner, where we do pretty much cover wrestling from different companies, WWE, TNA, New Japan, Ring of Honor, things like that. Comic Book Corner, where we just cover comic book, mainly just comic book movies and comic book stuff, total news or whatever. And what was the other one? I think it's the Vampire. Well, buddy of mine's, a co-host, he has another podcast that he's doing. It's kind of like Kevin Smith's Smodcast, where it's just random shenanigans and stuff. So that's pretty much what we're a part of, and we also do blogs as well. That should be, we're starting to pick back up on that as well. So that's pretty much what we do. I do.
Awesome. All right, Jarrell, I guess you last at bat. Hello?
Alright, there was a massive freeze on my side for a second. Can you guys still...
There was one on mine for like 15 minutes. It felt terrible. I just got over it. Yay.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was me or not. But hey, really quick, how do you get it so that it, you know how it randomly selects people to pop up? Does anyone know how it good to do that?
Good question.
It's like whenever somebody opens their mouth, it's gonna just automatically do that. So basically, whoever wants to be the light, go ahead and everybody just shut up and let the other person talk.
Okay.
If you want attention, just go, ah!
No.
Okay. Who all has introduced themselves? Has everyone else already done so, or
Yeah. Yeah.
People know.
it's just me? It's just me. Of course. I just woke up from a nap, and then I tried logging in, and my internet was like, oh! But I finally just got in here, and I'm all confused. That's fantastic. But anyway, my channel, it's Darrell's Alexandria. Do reaction videos, reviews, mostly movie. I promote my own art on it as well. Just upload a 4K movie in March, like an hour long that I made. Spent like 6-7 months on it, so that's on there, on YouTube only. And what else comes to mind? I don't know. Filmmaking, making music, doing magic, YouTuber. That's me. So that's
Freaking
it.
awesome, man.
Is that your Twitter bio?
It's kind of refreshing being on this time zone because I would be able to get up at 8 a.m. like Adele is going to have to do.
Oh no,
Like-
bless her.
Oh
But she's
yeah.
not here yet. I don't know if
Oh.
she's going to get up and come, but I'm like, oh, this is so much better. I'd rather do it at 11 p.m. at night than do it at 8 a.m.
Come
in the
live with
morning.
me in
Like,
London,
I'm not
Nicole,
an
it's
early
fine.
bird.
Yeah, I talked to Adele. She said
No, well, I was up
family stuff she got to do, so she'll be in soon.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, that's all right.
All right, we got one last person that's up to bat. CK61938. Go ahead, introduce yourself and promote your channel and whatever you need to talk about, D.
Hi guys, sorry I'm a bit late. I've just got back home from seeing Avengers for the second time. Yeah, I do apologise. But you know, that's commitment for you. I see the film for the second time so we can talk about it properly, you know. So, yeah, do apologise. Sorry about the setting. I'm a bit, I literally just walked in like the last 30 seconds or so. But it's good to see everybody. Rihanna, hi.
Hi, alright.
Bad. Ash, isn't it?
It's me.
That's Ash.
The last time we talked, we were talking about elk.
We
Elk.
were.
Good time.
Oh, someone's dropped. Right. Well, hi everybody. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm CK61938. CK obviously being for Clark Kent, 61938, June 1938, when Action Comics was first published. Little bit of Superman trivia there for you. And as you can tell, I am a bit of a fan. You can see all the stuff as well. So yeah, please don't let me get in your way. I'm just going to sort myself out. So talk, feel free, whatever you nerds tend to do.
Hey Sam, Sam, I got one more thing. I meant to throw that out there when I was introducing myself.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to like listen to our podcast, we're on iTunes and Stitcher. Just look up 3 Black Geeks. It's the number 3 and Black Geeks all together. Also, if you live in the DC metropolitan area or you happen to be going to it, we're going to be at AwesomeCon the weekend of Memorial Day weekend. We have a panel that Saturday morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's like a surviving summer movies. I might try to record that or do a video, try to record the whole panel, or probably just either video record it or try to do just record it, like, you know, just people can listen to. So, yeah.
That's freaking sweet, dude. I didn't even know you were going to be at AwesomeCon.
Yeah. Actually, AwesomeCon, and we also got press pass for New York Comic Con. So.
Y'all get so many cons. We only get like 2.
Oh, that's right. CK, weren't you at your Comic-Con? Where you were at?
Yeah.
He disappeared. He's a ghost now.
Aw.
Oh, he'd be back.
Guys, this is unfriended.
Oh my god, it's like a...
Don't log off! I'll kill you!
Alright, so I guess we need to zero in to the task at hand. That is the epic movie that we've all seen, Avengers Age of Ultron. So, first off the bat, the first question was, how many times have you seen Avengers Age of Ultron? Did you see it in IMAX? Did you see it in regular? Did you enjoy the visual effects? And basically, did you enjoy the visual scope of the movie? And we can go, anybody wants to start it off.
I saw it about
Can you repeat the second part of the question?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
Yeah,
My
sure.
computer just went all woo.
Aw. So I'll repeat the whole question. So how many times have you seen Avengers: Age of Ultron? Did you see it in IMAX or regular? Did you enjoy like the visuals for that? And as a scope of a Marvel movie, did you really enjoy it more than most of the other ones?
Okay. I guess I'll start off. I saw it about 5 times. I saw it.
My God.
Two of
I've only seen it 3, guys.
Okay. 2 of them were press screenings. So I saw them early before it hit like theaters and stuff. I saw it Thursday. And I saw it. I think that Saturday of the fight. And I also saw a bootleg of it because I just wanted to watch it again, just cause. So visually, I think it was actually really good. It was spotty at times, especially like in the beginning, that opening scene. There were a couple of spots where it's like, oh, that's obviously CG, but I mean, it overall it was actually very good. I did particularly like Quicksilver's effect because I always felt that for somebody that's a speedster, you have to show that streak effect to him, kind of like the Flash. You got to show that, So
yeah,
that was good. I think in terms of the epic scope of Marvel movies, I think it, was right up there. In terms of, I guess it was a little bit better than Avengers in terms of its final battle and scope because it was a little bit more focused. Trying to think. I mean, I could do without the big, like, final battle, things got to blow up and explode, that stuff. But I mean, that's just minor nitpicking stuff. But I mean, overall, I think it did better in terms of showing the scope of battles and scope of just special effects overall and stuff. I think they did a good job. So I'm hoping, the Russos pick up from that. I think the Russos, they do a little bit of a better job in terms of action. But I do like the fact that Whedon did actually improved action-wise in terms of how he shot it and such versus the first movie. So definitely this movie was a step up from the first one and stuff. It definitely didn't take 30 minutes for it to kind of pick up its pace and stuff. It just gave you action off the break. You had story beats and it just kept going and stuff. So
Nice.
That's true.
That is very detailed and nowhere near what I was thinking. I was just like, oh.
Yeah, we gotta get specific.
Yeah.
Giving it the details there.
yeah.
I saw the movie twice, neither time in IMAX or 3D. I saw it in 2D in regular viewing because I don't have an IMAX theater near me, and I'm not like a massive fan of 3D either. So I was like, nah, I'm not gonna see it in 3D. Visually, I think it had a lot more visual effects than quite a few of the more recent Marvel movies. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy obviously had a lot of visual effects going on, but Captain America: Winter Soldier, I appreciate that movie a lot because it was a lot of hand-to-hand combat, not so much sort of exploding things, if you know what I mean. But I did really enjoy a lot of the special effects. I thought it was on a very wide scale. I thought they did a really good job with it. At the beginning, it did seem kind of sketchy, but you do get thrown back into the action, which is really great because you just get thrown back into the action. The pacing's right up there. It does get dodgy in the film sometimes, but then when you get to the end fight scene, when you've got all these Avengers like demonstrating their powers, you've got Scarlet Witch with her hand thing and Quicksilver, and that shot when you like zoom down, like when they're all fighting, it just looks amazing. And that shot in the beginning where they're all like slow-moing like together, yeah. it just looks perfect.
That was freaking sweet. I love that.
Yeah, see, I saw it. I've only seen it once, but I saw it in Barcelona in a tiny little cinema because I'm traveling in Europe. And you could see there was some like diehard fans there, but like, and I was like fangirling watching it, but it's like I missed the experience because if I was in Melbourne, I would have seen a huge audience and all these like people, and I'm just trying to contain my excitement because there's all these people around, but it's like such a small, tiny cinema. So I've only seen it once, and I want to see it again. And I saw it, but it had Spanish subtitles. Didn't like annoying. Like of me, I would have dealt with that.
It was lucky that you could find it
It's
without.
just but yeah, I haven't seen it once. I'm gonna see it again if I can. But yeah, I wish I had seen it on big screen. But what can you do?
Then you come back to England, we'll go see it again.
Yes, we will. We will.
And then you can both get me rare amiibos.
Okay. Mad Max Fury
Oh, yeah.
Road, Pitch Perfect 2, and Avengers.
I've already seen Mad Max, by the way. Boom. What I've also seen is the Avengers. I saw that movie. I saw it twice. Saw it that many. The first time I saw it in IMAX 3D because I went to that double feature, which was the best. Because we got sick posters, and like everyone was going crazy and nuts, and it was amazing. Then the second time I saw it not in that, because my movie pass doesn't cover that. But honestly, I didn't dig the 3D just because the 3D is just, it's garbage. It doesn't work. It hurts. But yeah, one person got that. But
3D has never been the strength of these movies, honestly. So,
I know.
You don't like 3D? Or?
No, I don't. It hurts. I don't know.
Oh. All right.
Some movies do it good. I thought Pacific Rim did it good, but other than that, I didn't love the 3D, but visually, I thought it was really impressive. I was down for it. That first scene, I'm just like, oh yeah, I want more. I want to like put it in my face. No, wow! I really dug it, and especially in IMAX. Because the second time I saw it, I liked it more, but I don't think I'll ever get as close to that experience that Nicole wanted so badly that she didn't get. I'm sorry. At least you found it in English. I remember that was a problem. I remember you saying, I hope I can find it in English. But, the experience was just out of this world. Just a ton of crazy fanboys losing their minds. Just watching it in the IMAX, and it was lovely. But I've only seen it twice. I plan on seeing it again. I wish I could have been legit and seen it again last night, but I saw Jack Black and James Marsden have sex instead, so yeah. The D-Train people.
Zero.
Well, I'll go.
I love those awkward silences.
Awkward silences. Yes, awkwardness. I've only seen the film one time. One for me. In regular, I wish I'd seen it in IMAX, but the nearest IMAX is like 3 hours from me. So, yeah. And the visuals were pretty fantastic. I mean, even with Vision, I think Vision was someone who I was really skeptical about how he was going to look on screen. And he actually looked pretty awesome, I gotta say. And the opening sequence was awesome. I almost like my pants rose, if that makes sense. And yeah, I think if there was a flaw with the movie, visuals was not one of them. So
Awesome.
I'm sorry, you're waiting on me. I apologize
Is someone eating?
for eating with my mouth full. I haven't eaten for several hours.
I was just yelling at my sister because she didn't bring my food, so I'm not eating.
No Chick-fil-A for Ash.
She's going to get it. I'll get it.
So freaking hungry, and
Yeah, I'm not sorry for eating in front of you guys. Sorry.
no, I'm not sorry. I'm eating right now. I'm dying.
That's what I'm talking about. You eat, boy. You eat. Right.
Yeah.
So I've seen it twice. Obviously, I went to see it for a second time tonight. The first time I saw it was in IMAX 3D. Luckily for me, my nearest IMAX cinema is literally 10 minutes walk away from me. So I took my girlfriend with me. She's never been to a midnight showing before. This was probably like my 15th midnight showing of a film, to be perfectly honest. But we got there, and surprisingly, there were a lot of people dressed up as the Avengers. They actually made a big to-do about the whole thing. Yeah, we were very, very surprised. I've never done that before. So to see people actually dressed up, we had one guy dressed as War Machine, another one dressed as Iron Man, Scarlet Witch was there, the Hulk was there, Loki, even Star-Lord. They invited Star-Lord, and he had a little toy plush raccoon as well, which was cute. We had a few people dressed as SHIELD agents, and then at one point Iron Man got behind the bar trying to serve drinks. That was pretty funny. Those of you who follow me on Instagram would have seen the pictures that I've posted on there. Absolutely hilarious. But obviously before we went to see the film, I did show my girlfriend pretty much all the Marvel Cinematic films before Avengers Age of Ultron, and I wish I hadn't now because she likes Iron Man.
That's a good thing. I mean, it is like the movie that, honestly, and that's the thing about these Marvel movies, is that some movies I feel work when they're kind of standalone-ish a little bit because they're able to tell a story. So I think that's why a lot of people like Iron Man, because one, it didn't have any baggage with it. It was kind of like Marvel, like, okay, look, we're going to try to bump up this, B tier, maybe C tier hero, and we're going to try to bump him up to where everybody knows who he is. And they just say, okay, we're just going to tell an origin story, and this is what it is. We're not going to have, we don't know what, because I mean, this is where Marvel was finding their footing on whether they're going to do this MCU universe kind of thing. So I think that's why people loved it, because it was just very standalone, and it just worked.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody knew Robert Downey Jr. was going to crush it, but he crushed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, although that wasn't what I was referring to. I mean, the reason why she's an Iron Man fan is because I'm actually a Superman fan, and she doesn't like DC.
See, DC has a long way to go with that. They really do. I mean, because there used to be a time where people were loving DC and weren't really keen on Marvel, and that's only because DC had movies that were out there, mainly Batman, and some of their TV shows and cartoons and stuff. So,
Wow.
That's true. That is very true. But you see, that's what brings me on to the next sort of stage of this, because they've started filming Captain America Civil War.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how people are getting excited to see Captain America and Iron Man fight. But Batman v Superman, it's like, oh my god, what are Warner's doing? Why are they bringing those two on the screen? Why are they pitting them against each other?
Well, it's a cash grab. I mean, it's like, hey, Man of Steel only made $700 million, worldwide. So we need Batman to come in there and give us some more money. That on a surface level, that's what it is.
It was a really logical way to go, though, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you had to, and I mean, I don't blame them, because it did feel kind of like, okay, pull the lever, we need Batman, boom, that's what you got.
Yeah. I mean, but what I'm talking about is the fan side of it. It's the fan reaction, is what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, the fan reaction.
The fact that there's fans out there who will stop at nothing to bring down DC Comics and their properties, and the fact that they're starting their universe and their movies and everything. But it's like with Marvel, everybody will praise Marvel regardless of what happens.
Oh yeah.
Iron Man and Thor go toe-to-toe, they'll be like, yeah, that's great. But if Batman goes up against, say, I don't know, Green Lantern, it's going to be like, why are they putting those two douches together?
Yeah, I think it took a while for Marvel to build up that trust. Because, I mean, I remember after Iron Man, most people were like, oh, they're doing another Incredible Hulk movie.
Yeah.
Yay, and they weren't really... And, I mean, that movie, if you really think about it, in Phase 1, actually, in terms of all of Marvel movies, the Incredible Hulk movie is the lowest grossing of all of Marvel Studios movies. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think just because people didn't really care for a Hulk solo movie, and I think you have to kind of find that footing. It's just like Green Lantern. Green Lantern could have worked, but it just needed better writing. Yeah. I mean, I think the people are going to come see it regardless. I mean, the movie obviously made its money back barely, so the people are going to come, but it's just like, if the movie isn't good, you're not going to get people to return to see it. Like, if the writing was good in Green Lantern, I probably would have went to see it a second time, or maybe a third time. But I didn't. I saw it one time, and I was like, well, I don't really care.
Yeah. I think it's also a generational thing. I think that at this point in the past 10 years that Marvel has excelled at proving themselves, like, time and time again. I mean, what they did with taking Guardians of the Galaxy, there's a lot of people that had no idea who any of these characters were, and they made that one of the best that they've ever done. And then even taking somebody like Captain America, before they actually did come out with Captain America and even casting Captain America as like Chris Evans being the part. Like a lot of people are like, man, why do they need like Captain America? If nobody has seen like the animated feature, the Ultimate Avengers, they never would have even had the idea that Captain America could really do what he could because they hadn't even looked at the comics. And so what Marvel has established, they've got this universe where now everybody is looking like, man, they can do this. They're adding these characters that I've always wanted. Even the fanboys or people alike that kind of hear glimpses about stuff, they can prove it. They have something to back it off with. Whereas DC now, the problem is that they had a great franchise back in the day with Christopher Reeve, Adam West, Michael Keaton, all those greats, but that's not our generation now. That's not the past 10 to 15 years. Those are classics in their own right. But there's a lot of regards that people thought of like Superman Returns as a failure. I didn't personally. I took value in all the subtle things about it. Even with Green Lantern, I felt like they could have shifted it a different way, like you kind of said, Chris. But they didn't. It didn't have a good payoff. And so they see like Suicide Squad, even though it's got great actors in it, as a high risk because DC haven't proven themselves. They see like even Batman vs Superman, even though this is the first time ever we're getting these two characters together, it's amazing to see. All they have to do is talk about like, well, look at what they did back there, and they don't have anything a rap sheet. Like just Marvel has just proven themselves in the past 10 years that they've solidified what they can do. And I guess this segues into the next question that I'm gonna jump questions. One of the questions I put up was, do you think that Marvel, with them casting all the people that they are now, that we've kind of heard the official results that now the Captain America 3 Civil War is going to have such a big range of people, do you think that they can actually do the Civil War series justice? Because there's a lot of things that they have to kind of get right. And I think they said that they're going to segue it into like the Doctor Strange and the Ant-Man, paving the way for a lot of this stuff, but it's ultimately going to have to go into Avengers Infinity Wars. But do y'all think, honestly, that they're going to do Civil War justice the way that the series was on a comic book level?
Yeah. I mean, they're just going to do what Winter Soldier was, and it's going to be a very loose adaptation. I mean, Winter Soldier, for all intents and purposes, it only took one part of that Brubaker Winter Soldier arc, and they sprinkled in some stuff from Hickman's Secret Warriors, and then they had an original story on top of that. So with Civil War, as much as it's a big cast, they're going to probably only focus on maybe a handful of people, and everybody else is getting bit roles. So, and as much as I think Movie Pilot put out like a leaked script of it, I think that script that's not even a legit script of what it's going to look like. I think it's just going to be, we're seeing, the new Avengers squad from the end of Age of Ultron, and then you got Hawkeye, then you got Ant-Man, and then you got General Ross. I think it's just going to be a thing where some of the new Avengers are going to be bit roles, and then everybody else like Falcon, Winter Soldier, Baron Zemo, Crossbones, and Cap, and Sharon Carter, and them, they're going to have the beefier roles and stuff, and everybody's just kind of supporting. So, and honestly, I don't want them to go like the comics, because honestly, after Spider-Man's supposed to be a cameo in Civil War 2, so that pretty much deads the whole idea of Spider-Man unmasking and all that stuff too. So it's going to be very loose, and I think people need to kind of keep their expectations to that, because otherwise you're going to go into the movie like, well, it's not like the comics, so I don't like this.
Yeah, that is the problem that we've got these days. It is a case of everybody's say everybody, but the geeks among us are all expecting these films to pretty much mirror what we've read in the comics. And you have to understand that, and I've said this plenty of times, and even Sam will tell you I'm a broken record at this point, that we, in terms of us geeks and nerds, we are literally 1% of the audience that these movies are being shown to. We might know a lot more about the characters that we're seeing on screen, and we might know the history that they've got and what they've been through, the changes they've gone through, but the mainstream audience don't. And for the purpose of the fact that these companies are in business to make money, they will just borrow certain elements from different eras or storylines or character looks and whatnot to say to the mainstream, this is our universe. But at the same time, they will still have all the unique Easter eggs that us geeks are used to, that we can look at and we can say, oh, I can see why they've put that in there. Oh, there's a reason why they've done that. Oh, there's a nod to this, there's a nod to that. You know, they've paid respects to this character, or they've paid respects to this writer or to this artist. You know, when the first Captain America movie came out, his first costume was Jack Kirby's original design. And I would imagine that not every Captain America or Marvel fan was expecting that, you know. But when they saw it, they were like, you know what, damn good touch, because they put it in the film because they knew that the geeks are going to watch it. They're not the primary target, but they're still going to watch it, enjoy it, and appreciate that these movie makers and writers and everybody involved know the source material.
Yeah.
You know, it is about the source material, and I know a lot of people are still having their reservations about Batman v Superman because the influence from that is pretty much from The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. And yes, Frank Miller did have a consultation role in the movie. So we don't know how much of an influence it's going to have on the film, but the fact is that what we've seen from the trailer so far indicates that it has an influence. How much of an influence, we don't know. It could just be 5% of the film is Batman and Superman fighting each other from The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, I mean, it also helps too. It also helps too that like Marvel's starting to turn around with their. I think around Phase 2 is when they started like their individual movies. If you look at say like Winter Soldier, for instance, it didn't come across like a big comic book like film. It came across like, okay, it's Captain America in an action espionage type movie. Not 007, but kind of espionage movie, so you didn't really know, okay, well, this is Captain America, this is a superhero movie. It didn't come across like a typical superhero movie. Same with Guardians. Guardians was a very Star Warsy. I'm not going to say it was Star Wars or the next Star Wars. I think that's going a little too far, but it was a very space operatic type movie. So, I mean, that's where they're moving into, because you can tell those stories without it being too much, hey, this is from a comic book, it's a comic book film, you know, so.
Yeah, totally agree. That's it, and you know, and then you've only got to look at Daredevil. You can see how it's how well detached it is from the main universe, but it's still
are you talking
has.
about the Netflix Daredevil, or are you just talking about Daredevil?
No, the Netflix Daredevil. You can easily see how that is so detached from all the main Marvel movies, yet they still have the awareness of what has happened in New York from the first Avengers film. They know that Thor's out there, they know that Iron Man exists, they know that these characters are out there, but Hell's Kitchen is still, the way that the show went on, it was as if to say, yeah, we're aware of what's happening in mainstream New York, but this is Hell's Kitchen, and it's got its own flipping problems, and we're going to deal with it the best way we can. So that I think was the beauty of that TV show, is that it acknowledged the main Marvel universe, but still solely concentrated on its own little, you know, neighborhood, as it were. So I just think that, you know, moving forward, when you've got the likes of Agent Shield, and now that Agent Carter has also been renewed for a second season, I'm sure we're going to see more connections, obviously with the major Marvel Cinematic Universe. I particularly like the one thing that I really loved about Age of Ultron is watching it for the second time, because I watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., was it last week, and then obviously this week's episode. So if you haven't seen it, I do apologise, there will be some spoilers now.
Might as well spoil away.
Yeah,
in that, you know, at the end of last week's episode, we see how Coulson is telling Maria Hill, you know, the Avengers are needed, and then as soon as the Age of Ultron starts, they're pretty much infiltrating the camp of where Pietro and Wanda Maximoff are held.
Yeah.
And then in this week's episode, we see Coulson meeting up with
Gonzalez.
No. Before that, when they go back to a year ago.
Patton Oswalt's character.
Yeah. Where they go back to a year ago, and we see the helicarrier getting repaired.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we're seeing that now, and now we understand why it was featured in Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
You know, and that was essentially Theta Protocol.
Did y'all catch the reference the guy that was on the helicarrier that was getting all the escape pods out. Did you notice he was the same guy that Crossbones and Winter Soldier put the gun to and was like, yeah, you might want to start that program.
And he's still, yeah.
So I like that. I like the little touches that pretty much Fury got everybody that more or less kind of got that pretty much were out the job from S.H.I.E.L.D. at the end of Winter Soldier. He got him back like, okay, you're not Hydra anymore. You know that you kind of got crossed in the background. So why don't you come back to S.H.I.E.L.D. now?
Yeah. Exactly, and that
I don't think people caught that reference. I was like, "Holy crap! It's that guy from Winter Soldier." Oh, okay, nice.
I didn't notice that.
I think he was still reeling from what happened in Winter Soldier. To be fair, because you heard it when he was saying, "Yep, that number 6 is now stocked and locked and piled. Well, it's full of people." So you have to give him, his dues. Bless him. He was. When you got a gun pointed to your head, what the hell are you going to do?
Yeah.
You are going to, fill up your pants and cry for your mum.
I mean, everything just exploded around him. It's like, oh, where do I go? And it's like, yeah. So.
Oh dear, but yeah, no, it was good. It was good. But it's like I say. I mean, bottom line at the end of the day. I look at Avengers: Age of Ultron, and I don't know if you guys have read stuff on the internet lately regarding Joss and what's happened with him and Marvel, and I kind of feel a bit relieved for him in a way because we've seen how many directors have come and gone for Marvel. I mean, the biggest one obviously being Edgar Wright for Ant-Man, and it kind of tells you that Marvel really do have a massive say in what they're developing, yet you're bringing in directors who want to give you their creative influence. There's a reason you hired them, yet when they give you their creative influence, you're like saying, that's not fitting in with the universe that we want to create. And then you're kind of thinking, well, why did you hire them then?
Exactly.
That's true.
If you're going to hire someone that is just going to sit there and nod at everything that you say, good luck to you, but be wary that if that movie doesn't turn out to be what you wanted it to be, and it doesn't make enough money, you've got to look at yourselves and say, okay, where exactly did we screw up?
Yeah, I think it's just it's ideals that pop into play because it was the same with Edgar Wright, but Edgar Wright's situation was a scenario where it's like they sat on that script for so long, and for those that don't know, actually. That thing with Edgar Wright and Ant-Man, that had a lot to do with his last movie that he did. What was the name of it? The World's End.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently, one of the guys that he did the movie with, the previous 2 movies he did with, was actually very ill. So when he fell ill, Edgar was like, well, we can either wait till I'm done with Ant-Man and we can do this movie and we cross fingers that your health improves, or we can do World's End now before your health declines. And he decided just to make World's End, and Ant-Man got put on the back burner, and that was pretty much more or less 99% of the reason why him and Marvel just kind of split. It wasn't on some like, oh, I hate you and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's what it was. A lot of people made it out to be, oh, they're changing the vision, and it's like, it's a little bit of the vision, only because Marvel, when they first initially had Edgar Wright on board, they didn't have an MCU. They didn't know if this was going to work. Because, I mean, I'm guaranteed if Iron Man did mediocre, they probably would have been like, I don't know if we're going to do this MCU, but it worked, obviously, so they had to retool that. So it was a give or take kind of scenario. I think people just made a bigger deal out of it, but now hearing that story, it's like, okay, that makes sense. You gotta do what you gotta do. So obviously they split on terms, but reading that whole article with Josh and stuff, it makes sense. I think for him, Marvel and him, I don't know if it was like, oh man, I hate working with Marvel. I think it was one of those like, hey, I have a vision. And I think 95% of what you saw in Age of Ultron was his vision. I think the other 5% was Marvel like, hey, let me put this in there and put that in there. And it worked. I mean, I know most people didn't like it, but it worked. But, I mean, I think in certain instances, if you let a director do his thing, like, say, Iron Man 3, where Shane Black, I think Marvel just let Shane Black do whatever the hell he wanted on Iron Man 3, and it shows because that's a Shane Black movie. Same with Winter Soldier. I mean, I'm not saying that's a Russo movie, but it didn't feel like Marvel handcuffed them. They were just like, all right, do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Same
that's
with
what I'm
Guardians
liking
of the
about
Galaxy.
this.
Yeah, same with Guardians of the Galaxy. You can
Got a
do
little
whatever you
leeway.
want. I think
you have
Thor
those
2 is the only
directors.
one. Thor 2 is the only one I can really think of that had some issues. I think that's only because Thor 2, much like Iron Man 2, it was like, hey, we got to set up some stuff for space, you know. And I mean, it's an alright movie, but I always felt the Thor movies were always the weak link of these Marvel movies. They're not bad movies, but they're just like, whatever. I watched it. It's enjoyable. Maybe I might see it a second time, you know, but it's not making me want to, hey, I want to go see it again, like Winter Soldier and Iron Man 3 and Guardians did, you know.
I really like the fact that they're like sticking with the directors, because James Gunn's doing Guardians 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like they've stuck with Joss Whedon for 2 Avengers. They're doing the Russo brothers for Cap 3 and then Infinity Wars, and they're sticking with James Gunn. So I think they've finally found their sort of ground, because going from director to director, it's just kind of, I think it's changed the tone a lot of the films. Like I really like the first Thor movie, and I thought Kenneth Branagh did a really great job directing that one. And then the second one just was a massive letdown for me, and I think it might have been different if he had directed it. So for me, it's a lot in the directing style and how they incorporate themselves into the movie.
Yeah, because it went through like, I think, 2 or 3 directors with that one, because it was the lady that's actually doing the Wonder Woman movie. She was on Thor initially, and there was a bit of, I believe, butting heads on the vision and stuff like that. And that's kind of where a lot of people feel Marvel kind of needs to just let directors do their thing, as long, because I think their mandate with Marvel, it isn't as strict as people say it is. I think they let them, and like I said, Phase 2, you can tell they kind of let loose the reins a little bit. It's like, okay, you can do whatever you want. I think they're letting directors do what they want, provided that also they kind of intertwine whatever they want to do with what's established in the MCU. You know, so as long as they do that, they're fine. I think as long as it's not too out there, you're good. So it's a give or take compared to DC, where it's very director driven. Because obviously, do I need DC to have every movie connect the dots with each other? Not really, but what I'm saying right now with Batman v Superman and now Suicide Squad, where apparently Batman's in it, obviously it's in the same world, but they're not like going out the way to say, hey, Suicide Squad is directly at the events of Batman v Superman, and obviously it's in that world, but it's not like directly reflective of what happened in that movie. So it's very distinct styles.
It is. Sam, I've just seen someone post a question on YouTube there regarding Joss Whedon. Obviously, we just sort of briefly mentioned him. Yeah, he has indeed deleted his Twitter account. Purely, I mean, there's various reasons as to why he's left Twitter. Some are saying it's because he, portrayed Black Widow in a damsel in distress kind of way. But seeing the film for the second time, I just want to quickly say, seeing the film for the second time tonight, in no way, shape, or form did I see Black Widow be treated like a damsel in distress.
She wasn't.
No, she wasn't at all. It was total bullshit.
If she was treated in that manner, one, she would not have, arranged to sort out Morse code to tell Hawkeye or everybody else where she was located.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be honest, if you are a damsel in distress, is that the first thing you would do?
No.
No.
No. You would sit there and still think,
You just be waiting
I don't want
there.
this bad man to kill me because I do want to stay alive and live the rest of my life as a human being. No, that's not what you would think. But for someone like Natasha Romanoff, she's had training. She's an assassin. She is an Avenger. So she uses everything around her. She uses the environment. She uses her resources. She's got the know-how. How does that make her a damsel in distress? Bruce Banner rescued her, yes, but at the same time, didn't she, at one point throughout the film, there are points throughout the film where she saves Banner as well? Does it not tell you that whilst it's a bit of a messed up love story between them two, they kind of saved each other?
What people are forgetting is the fact that Banner wanted out with a fight, and Natasha was the one that got him to go green and fight.
Yeah, she was willing. She was willing to fight.
Like Natasha was the one who wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Banner. I mean, if you really think about it, Natasha was just like, look, both of us got bad things that happened to us. Like she mentioned when they were at Clint's farm, like, hey, we're both monsters in the sense that we went through stuff in our personal life. But at the end of the day, she's like, look, I'm not going to dwell on it like you are with the Hulk. I'm willing to sit there and be the strong woman, and I'm going to keep fighting because that's what gives me strength. I'm out there. I'm being an Avenger. I'm doing what I gotta do. And like I said, Banner is just afraid. And like at the beginning when Thor was like, "Oh, you killed people, out there in the field, blah blah blah," and Banner's like, "Oh man, I did kill people." He's still wrestling with the idea that he's the Hulk and he's killing people, and he's kind of like very timid. And Natasha's the one in that relationship. And I mean, I understand why people felt that relationship didn't have any build-up, but I understood it. Natasha was really the one that was taking the initiative, and she wanted the relationship. She pushed herself on it. So and it made sense, because it's like, well, why can't Black Widow have a love interest? Why can't she, do what she wants to do, but...
Well, so, I mean, the weird thing about that, though, they kind of implied certain things with her relationship with Barton in the first Avengers.
No, we assumed that, to be fair. We assumed that.
We assumed it, but it was like you knew something was there. But they did it well by running off okay, she knows about his secret, about his family and everything. But then when you look at the Winter Soldier and you look at the connection between her and, like, Captain America...
Oh, that was perfect.
I thought
so
that would have been the next step. It kind of threw me, all honesty, in my opinion, but it didn't defeat the movie because it added certain nudges and scenes, like the scene where I guess Bruce was coming out of the shower, and she was kind of like, "Well, I should have went in the shower with you," or whatever. I thought it was really funny, but then they started going into the fact of like, well, what kind of life am I really gonna have? Like Bruce was like, I can't do anything, I can't give you children. But then I was looking at all those flashbacks that Natasha was having. I was like, what is this about? And then to find out that she had got sterilized and like they had put her through certain torturous things. I thought that was a really powerful scene. If anything to take out of the relationship, there was a realness there. Like Natasha going forward, knowing that she is not, in her own opinion, right for anybody, being that she is an assassin at heart and she's been compromised in different levels. She wanted to bring herself out of her own empathy to have a relationship with this man, even though they were both considered as monsters. It worked, I guess, for the sense. And Joss Whedon, he does stuff like that. I mean, if you look at Buffy the Vampire Slayer or even Angel, he does like relationships that way, and you would never expect him to kind of work like that. So I think it worked technically, but I felt like Cap and her would have worked better.
But you know what it is, though? I think it's kind of... It speaks more to a little bit of the comics and maybe a little bit of Hollywood. I think, Marvel Studios and DC do a better job than the main Hollywood studios. It's the fact that when it comes to these movies, Natasha is really, up until, we got Maria Hill and Pepper and, now Scarlet Witch. I would count Jane a little bit, but, now we got Scarlet Witch. It's just we never had a very strong female character like that. So now everybody, men and women, are pushing their viewpoints on what Black Widow should be, and that's where you have all these think pieces, and that's where you have a lot of people have these problems. And I think once you start having more women heroes being put out there in movies and TV and stuff, then I think people will kind of cut some slack on Black Widow and focus on that. I mean, hell, we're getting a Jessica Jones TV series later on this year. So I think once the door opens for more women, and like you said, Agent Carter getting a second season, hopefully we will see some more diverse women characters. Period there. Then all of a sudden people are like, okay, let's back off from Black Widow. And, hey, we got representation finally. So.
Yeah, I mean it's all well and good, and I know that loads and loads of people are screaming for a Black Widow solo movie, but for me personally, I think she works better as part of an ensemble cast with the Avengers, part of the Captain America world as well, because I'm not saying she's a second-rate character, not by any means. If anything, she's like, as CJ just said there, she's like one of the main characters. She is a strong character. She looks after them not in a mothering sense, but like a sister, essentially. She is a part of the group. She is a core part of the group. That's why Fury, trusts her so much. That's why Fury has her doing all these other secret missions that the rest of the team don't know about. As we learned from Winter Soldier when they got on the boat, because Fury knows what she's capable of. Otherwise, we wouldn't have her appearing in films like Winter Soldier and also in Avengers. And we are getting a Captain Marvel movie, so that's good. So we are going to get a female film.
Yeah, I think it's going to open the floodgates and stuff. I mean, it's like, like I said, eventually they're going to back off on it. They got to. I mean, and it just speaks to, like I said, everybody's just overall mentality. It's like people chill, we get it. I mean, hell, as a black person, hey, I want to see more black representation in these movies, but I know that's more so from the comic side because comics are just now starting to diversify with their characters and stuff. And so that's why like people need to kind of back off on Marvel Studios a little bit because they are doing it. Hell, would I like to see Rhodey get more screen time? Sure. I liked his role in Avengers because it works. You know, it's like Black Widow. Do I need to see a solo movie? Not really, because she works well when she's teamed up with somebody else. Everybody, like I said, I love Hawkeye as a character and stuff. He's like one of my like top 5 characters that I love in comics and stuff. Do I want to see a solo Hawkeye movie? Not really. I'd rather it be like a TV show or a miniseries like a comic because that's what
I was gonna say.
That's what makes the comic so good. You know, he works better in a low-key thing. If you're going to put him in a movie by himself, you got to team him up with Black Widow and somebody else because they work in tandem with one another. They bounce off each other better instead of just claiming by himself.
I would rather see a Natasha Romanoff Black Widow R-rated Netflix series.
Yeah, that'd be
amazing.
I mean, and I think that could come, maybe, you know, but like I said, I'd rather see other women other than Natasha doing it. I'd rather see Elektra. Well, I ain't gonna say Elektra. I mean, she had a shot. I mean, to be fair, she had a shot.
Elektra.
I mean, like I said, Elektra works in tandem with Daredevil. It works. You know, she works in tandem with Daredevil and stuff like that. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Together on the playground, and it makes me uncomfortable.
You know, I mean, hey, you know, that was the time. We thought Elektra, the solo movie, was good for the time, and we didn't notice that. I mean, and that's a movie that I watched to this day. I actually caught it on FX because, you know, they run every movie under the sun from, you know, early 2000s and stuff. And that Elektra movie, it had potential, but it was just the writing was all over the place. It was like you made Elektra boring. And I'm like, how did you make Elektra boring? Like, you had the pieces there. She's fighting the Hand, and she's fighting all these generals from the Hand. That could have made for actually a pretty decent movie. And yet, it wasn't good.
They didn't go to the grittiness style like they did with Daredevil, which they could have made the opportune moment for that. But I think that Marvel's still trying to, like, fill themselves out, especially around the 2003 time frame, because, I mean, everybody was really banking on Spider-Man as being that ultimate franchise that Sony had. And so when they were kind of doing like Daredevil and even moving into Elektra, it was like kind of epic fail. Up until Iron Man really kind of came out, that was when that set the bar for everything, this new universe.
Those superhero movies were going bad. Once, like, I think Spider-Man 3 and Fantastic Four 2 was like, that's where it was just like the turning point. That was the turning point of like, oh boy, are we really doing this right now? I was in California at the time. I was in the Air Force out there, and I just remember I actually went to Comic-Con in '07 that Saturday, and that's when they had that Comic-Con panel for Iron Man. And I remember at the time, like, I couldn't get in the Hall H, but I remember when that Hall H let out and stuff before I walked out, everybody was like, oh man, Iron Man is awesome, and stuff. And I was like, Iron Man? I was like, that's interesting, you know, and like I said, I got back to my apartment, and I watched, you know, the video leaked online, and I was like, this could be really good, and this is who's doing this? And they said Marvel Studios is doing this, and I think it was Paramount at the time was, you know, doing the distribution for it. So I was like, this could be the turning point, because I remember at the time, I was like, I actually like Fantastic Four 2 better than Spider-Man 3. That's the level where we were sitting at the time. And it's like, man, like, I mean, hell, I like X-Men 3 over Superman Returns. So that's where we were at the time. And it's like, I think that's what I'm saying. It's like, I think Thor 2 is the weakness of Marvel Studio movies, but it's better than those other movies. It's way better than those other movies.
Yeah, that's it. That's the thing. I mean, it's the mindset that we had back then. I mean, we're going back 12 years now for when the Daredevil movie came out, and obviously Spider-Man came out in 2002. So that's 13 years ago. It's like, and obviously the first X-Men movie coming out in 2000. So we're talking 15 years of, you know, comic book movies that we have seen, enjoyed, and thought, why was that made again? And, you know, if you go back 10 years, you think, oh yeah, back at then, that was the quality that we had. And, you know, we had Batman Begins, 2005, 2006, it was Superman Returns. And then it was like, all of a sudden, Marvel Studios just came out with Iron Man, and everybody just suddenly thought, okay, what just happened?
when that Nick Fury special scene hit, that's when everybody was like, oh crap, this is happening. This is
happening. Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean, everybody was shocked because, like I said, at that time, the internet, I'm not gonna say it was still in its infancy, but like Twitter and Facebook was still in its infancy, so you didn't have that like, oh man, the speculation here, Nick Fury is gonna be an Iron Man. We were all shocked. I mean, like I said, also the internet now, we are spoiled. We already know when what's going to be the after credit sequence before it even happened. But back then we didn't know. Like I think up until Iron Man 2, the first Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, and Iron Man 2, we didn't know what the after credit scenes were. We never knew. So it was this surprise and like, oh man, what's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? And we were shocked. We had Nick Fury and then Incredible Hulk. We had Tony talking to General Ross, and we were all like, oh my god, this is awesome. And then Iron Man 2, we had Thor's hammer, and that really got everybody crazy. So I mean, everything has come full circle. So now with the way the internet's run, we're not surprised anymore, and it's all speculation and stuff. So I mean, compared to 2000, where I even mentioned on our podcast, we had Wizard magazine to keep us informed.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, back then we really didn't have much to go in the way of, news for us geeks. They were very limited back then, whereas now it's like everybody wants to be a blogger, everybody wants to be a news article writer and all that sort of stuff, and it's like, okay, and you see all these rumors popping up left, right, and center, and you just think, which one's real, which one's not, but you will know which one's reputable, which one has the correct sources, all that sort of stuff. So
that's why I'd rather just go in fresh with the movie. Like, as much as everybody was throwing Age of Ultron rumors out there, I was like, look, we already know who's going to be in it. We already know what the story is going to be about. We already know they're going to throw Easter eggs in there. At this point, anything else is just conjecture. Same with Civil War. We only got, there was a leaked script, and I'm like, okay, but that leaked script could be BS. I mean, hell, there was a leaked script for Age of Ultron that literally is like, oh yeah, Quicksilver's alive, which turned out, it was true to an extent because Whedon did have an ending where nobody died. I think, no, he had an ending where Hawkeye got killed and Quicksilver survived. And I mean, you could tell that by the end of the movie, that part where Hawkeye was injured on the side, he's laying on a chair, and Quicksilver's laying next to him. That was a scene where it would have been a flip side to where Quicksilver would have been alive and Hawkeye would have been dead. So he left himself an out pretty much on a lot of stuff.
Emotional.
Don't bring up Quicksilver around Rihanna.
To be honest, I was going to say,
I think he's still alive. They threw out that idea. No. They threw out that idea that one.
My friend, I went to see it with. When we went to see it again, when I went to see it again tonight, my friend, she was very shocked when Quicksilver died. She was like, "Why did he die?" I went, "It's Joss Whedon." She went, "But why does he always do that?" I went, "Well, when you like a character, Joss Whedon's going to kill it." It's so.
Anyone else look for Serenity?
Came back.
See, I wonder about that death though, because the thing is, because Fox and because Marvel Studios both own the rights to Quicksilver, they never established Pietro as the name Quicksilver in this movie, and they've never established Scarlet Witch in the other X-Men franchise. So my question was, one of the questions I actually had is, do y'all think that this was calculated by Marvel to kind of be the rights, because there are certain rights conflictions that they had to, in a sense, kind of kill off Pietro? It can be proved that they didn't have to, but why kill him off at all?
They left it out, personally. They left it out only because I think they left it out only because they mentioned Dr. Cho, the regeneration machine.
I mean,
that's
the out right there. And like I said, they can easily, and like I said, Aaron Taylor Johnson, they signed him to multiple picture deals. And if they were going to kill him off like that, they would be like, oh yeah, one and done. So he's coming back. And I think we as audiences, we had, I know people that I saw it with, they automatically were like, oh, he ain't dead, because we watch Age of the Shield, we know Coulson is alive, so we automatically assume
apart from Uncle Ben.
he's going to come back. And I mean, if you read comics, nobody really stays dead.
I agree. It's just, it was unnecessary to even kind of kill him in that way.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. I'm not a fan of that trope.
It felt like a calculated.
Wait, are you guys saying that Do you guys think he's coming back? Because in my mind, first off, I think he's like dead. Like, as soon as he got shot up,
Had a lot of bullets.
No.
Oh, he has enhanced
Yeah,
healing. They
there's
said
that
he had
line in
enhanced
his
healing.
body.
They said
I
he
don't
had
think
speedy
he is.
healing.
Hawkeye didn't seem too upset, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he,
He was like,
no, he checked his pulse. That's the funny thing too. People didn't notice. Hawkeye checked his pulse and just looked up at Cap, but he didn't say he was dead. That's the thing.
hey,
He never said he was dead. He just looked up at Cap like, all right, put him on the ship. There was no burial. There was no funeral. Like Coulson,
Hey,
even
listen,
when you look at Coulson's death, it
There
was
was
just
an
like,
interview with
okay,
Joss
he
Whedon
got stabbed in
about
the
that,
chest,
actually.
and that's it. And he came back and aged the shield. So,
But then, I mean, Hawkeye, well, the middle name of his son, he named Pietro. But then, the
I'm
other
gone.
thing
Bye.
was, like, Scarlet Witch just literally flipped out. Like, she flipped out in, I think
That's
she's
a twin thing, that is.
Yeah,
and
I
I mean,
guess.
and I mean, even Coulson coming back, I think that plays into the comics because Nick Fury will lie to you in order to push you to do something for him.
I agree.
That played into it as well.
Scarlet Witch, then.
Because what tipped me off the Coulson kind of sort of being alive and stuff like that was when Maria Hill told, Fury in the first movie, like, yeah, Coulson didn't have those cards in his pocket when we were on his body. You got that out of his locker. So, obviously, and it plays into when you see, when they see how Phil gets resurrected and even shit is like, oh, so he actually took him from there and put him in the science and kept him alive. Okay, that makes sense. With Quicksilver, I'm thinking Fury is like, okay, look, we'll keep him alive and we'll figure out something.
Yeah.
So he might come back in Infinity. He might come back in Doctor Strange. He could come back in Infinity Wars. We'll see
if
what
they
happens.
bring him back, I think that's whack. Like, I'm not talking about.
Yeah, I'm unsure about it.
I'm not talking about Quicksilver, but like if they bring back the same Quicksilver actor Aaron Taylor after dying like that, that's kind of whack to me because like to me his death was like definitively he should just be KO'd. So to bring him back would kind of just be like, really,
Well, I mean,
Marvel just tend to do that, though.
that's my thing. Like I read enough comics to know if the resurrection makes sense, I'm fine with it. Like I gave a class example. House of M. After House of M, after Avengers Disassemble, Scarlet Witch killed Hawkeye, right? So when they did House of M and she made this reality, Clint came back alive in that reality. When that reality dissipated and stuff, Clint was back alive again. And I was like, okay, I'm fine with that because it's magic, and much like magic, some stuff you can explain, some stuff you don't have to explain, but the logic was pretty much, hey, when she brought back reality, Clint pretty much got resurrected and stuff. So if you can do that, that's cool. But then on the other spectrum, if you just bring somebody back alive and just say, oh, it's because of this, and it's on some BS with no explanation, people are going to sit there and feel it cheaping to death. Just like I said, I feel Coulson coming back alive in Agent Shield, it made sense because the way they did it, they injected him with Kree blood, and they did all these experiments and wasted memory. Okay, that makes sense. Other than just, oh yeah, we just injected you with some adrenaline and we sewed you up. You're fine. Then I'll be like, okay, that's stupid.
That's exactly it. Exactly. It's all about the reasoning behind bringing them back. It's not a question of, and it is the process as well. You can't just bring someone back and just think, right, we're bringing them back. We're not even going to tell you why they brought them back. We're not even going to show you how we brought them back. But if you don't show that level of process, people are going to feel cheated, And I understand Rihanna and Nicole's positions here because I know, as I say, my friend was also distraught when Quicksilver got killed.
It makes sense. It makes 100% sense.
As I said to her, I said, look, at the end of the day, it's Joss Whedon. It's what he does. It's his signature. If you like a character very much, he's going to kill that character off. There's nothing you can do about it. But of course, I didn't tell her that.
on the wind.
This is the comics, and in comics, no one really stays dead for long.
I mean, people do, because the rule is always Uncle Ben is dead. Uncle Ben has stayed alive for years. Jean Grey has stayed alive, even though they kind of, with all new X-Men, we got Jean Grey from the past is alive, so they kind of somewhat circumvented that. But I mean, characters stay alive. I mean, characters stay dead depending on the level of how much Marvel cares about the character. I mean, there are people in X-Men that were like obscure characters like Pyro that are dead, and it's like, well, did anybody care about Pyro? Probably not. So who cares? So it's dependent on their level of caring that it really matters. I mean, so it's like I said, that's why I like the Russos, because in Winter Soldier they could have easily killed off some characters, but they didn't. I mean, what's the homeboy that got thrown in front of the truck?
Flip. the agent.
Sitwell. When he got thrown in front of the truck, it was like, well, that was deserving because he literally was Hydra, so who cares? It was awesome. It was deserved because it was like, oh, he got thrown in front of the truck. Okay, he ain't coming back. We know that. He's a bad guy. We don't expect him to come back.
He's definitely dead.
So he's dead. So it just depends on what they care about. Civil War ain't coming back. And that's why I feel in Civil War, as much as people might say, oh, Cap's going to die, I think the Russos isn't going to sit there and pull a Cap out like that. They're not going to just kill somebody.
I think they love Cap too much for that.
Yeah, they'll probably do something, but I don't see anybody dead because you don't necessarily have to kill people to have tension.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't, but I would like to point out a big-time flaw with the cinematic Marvel universe so far. Like, this whole, like with Nick Fury, tease him like, oh, is he dead? Is he dead? No, actually, he's not dead. The Quicksilver thing, if he, like, actually died or he actually gets brought back, like, I feel at this point, I have yet to feel that the Avengers have been in legitimate trouble. Like, they've actually faced a legitimate threat. Like, I loved Ultron, but I didn't think he was an actual threat. I thought he was a good challenge, but at the end of the day, I was just like, they've got him. The Hulk himself could probably take him out. Like,
well, I think he was a threat. I think he was a threat enough because I think even in the first Avenger, put it this way, I think Loki in the first Avengers, he was a threat only because he had numbers. I mean, Avengers was, 6 people versus like 1 million Chitauri. Eventually, you're gonna wear down on Avengers, and you saw that part where Hawkeye ran out of arrows, and Hulk is getting beamed down by them. So the numbers game works, but in Avengers, you have what, like 6 plus the 2, actually plus 3, so that's what, 9. That's 9 Avengers and stuff. And then you have Ultron, and then his plan, for the most part, his plan made a lot of sense. I think he just went straight to the point where it's like, look, I'm gonna drop this meteor and be done with it. And like I said, I can see both sides where people like, I like that idea. On the other end, though, in the comics, Ultron was very much like, I'm gonna cause chaos everywhere. Maybe they could have did the scene where he disrupted like air traffic control and had some planes fall out the sky, and then they got to split up everything, and the Avengers got to do this and do that. Maybe they could have did that. They could have, but I think I like the idea that Ultron was like, look, maybe I could do all that, or I'll just get straight to the point and just like, hey, I want to destroy the Earth, and boom, and just get it done and over with.
But do y'all think that if Vision had not been created, the time frame that he was, even if Ultron had gotten that body, do y'all honestly think that they could have beaten him?
I think it would have been a situation where they would have immobilized him, but they wouldn't have killed him. It would have been like,
the minds don't know.
At most, they were probably like, oh, we're going to pretty much put you in a position where you're out of commission for a while, and it would have been one of those situations where, okay, well, I'm out of commission, but guess what? I'll be back. That kind of deal. So they would have had a tough time, but they probably would have put him in submission, but they wouldn't have killed him. There's no way they would have killed him. It's like the comics. Even in the comics, they'll defeat Ultron, but like I said, just like in this movie, I think Ultron is still alive because there were certain parts of that movie where I'm like, that's a little too easy. I think he's going to be back.
Yeah, because even Vision has said at one point, he has said to the group, he was like, I don't want to kill Ultron. I just know I have to destroy traces of him. Every single trace, it has to be destroyed. And even when they kind of were at the end, where Ultron was like talking with Vision, I thought that was really interesting banner. I thought that was good acting, being that these both are CG characters. I was like really kind of feeling it. But when he used the Mind Stone on him, I was like, did he really kill him, or did he like consume his essence? I really didn't know. It kind of left it so vague because you never saw what happened. But
now there was a part where I thought that he was still alive. You remember that lone drone that just kamikazed into where Nick Fury and them were?
Yeah.
I think that's where Ultron uploaded himself. Like, it was just one of those, like, that's random, because it should have been more than just one drone. Why does one drone just kamikaze into it like it was doing something? I think he kind of sort of put a trace of himself in there before Fury stabbed him in the head. That's just me assuming that. And also, again, maybe off screen he saved himself somewhere.
I agree on that. I think I was like thinking, well, what's it doing in there? Why is it just gone in there all on its own? And it kind of makes sense that Ultron would upload himself,
because that's the only tech that was in the area,
and just hide in there, knowing that he was probably going to get defeated by the Avengers, and just stay dormant, and who knows when he'll resurface, It's it was like, I mean, when I did my review for Age of Ultron, I was sort of likening Ultron to Lawnmower Man in a way.
Like a better version.
You know, just like a much more modernized version, essentially.
Actually, he's like the Borg in a sense that he just keeps
he's
going.
assimilated, isn't he? He's out there, you know, replicating himself over and over again, and you know, he's like the Queen Borg essentially. You know, your resistance is futile in this case with the Avengers, but so I had to throw that in there. But
it works. I mean, that's like I said. I know I talked to a lot of people. They thought Ultron was a very quippy and funny. Charismatic is the word a lot of people use, and which he is. I mean, because you can't. As much as you could play Ultron as a cold robot, I don't think that will play well with general audience because you're just going to be like, oh, he's just a robot with no personality. And I'm not saying robots need to have personality like a Johnny Five from Short Circuit, but you got to give me something with them. And I think with Ultron, he had to be charismatic. Otherwise, I am Ultron. I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, I mean,
I think some of the humor worked, but I always assumed that he was gonna be like menacing and seriously be like totally tough and be able to take them all out and be a challenge. But they kind of went pretty far with the whole comedy side, and I don't know if I really wanted that from Ultron. I mean, you got that from Loki. You got that whole comedy side to it with Loki, and now you've added that to Ultron. It's like the trailers made him look like seriously like a dark film. It was totally like misleading, and I expected him to be totally different to what he was, and that was one of the letdowns for me.
I mean, he's my top villain. He's my top villain, but I think Kingpin and Daredevil is probably like my number one, just because like I said, to me it's Kingpin, then Loki, and then Ultron, because those three alone, they still had a presence to them that was better than Killian and better than Hammer, better than what's his face from the first Iron Man movie? Stain. Stain? Yeah, Stain. Even the elf dude from Thor 2. It's just those three came across like, yo, I have a plan. I'm going to implement it, and you're just going to either A, if you're going to stop me, or B, get out of my way because I'm going to destroy you. And I think they worked, those three. I would count Red Skull as maybe my fourth because I think he had a plan, and it more or less worked a little bit because he kind of sort of took Cap out of commission by the end of the movie. You know, but I think he needs to be fleshed out more. But I'm hoping, crossing fingers, that Zemo is going to probably take over that number one spot. I'm hoping it does, because the Russos know how to. I mean, hell, I actually know what, I count Robert Redford as part of my top bad guys too, because he had a plan and it worked. It more or less worked.
I don't know. I got so excited. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he was a very good bad guy. It worked.
Ashton's happy.
Wow.
What was I going to ask?
Well, see, one thing about Ultron, though, like, even his consciousness and stuff that he mimicked off of Tony Stark. Like, there was a point where I guess it was like they had their first kind of real head-to-head, and, like, Tony was like, he beat me by 5 seconds. 5 seconds. It's just like James Spader knows how to have that embodiment of, like, very serious and menacing, but at the same time, seriously sarcastic and scary at the same time.
Oh, it was like watching the Blacklist again.
Yeah, honestly, like, it really was, but I love that. Like, I was thinking kind of like you, Nicole. Like, I was thinking when we're gonna go here, like, I mean, he's just gonna be like all hellfire. But even like his ideals, his whole thought process of how he has to do this plan was just so crazily like devastating. Like, I couldn't even think about the fact that he's trying to make himself better because he's got an inferiority complex because Tony was the one that created him, and even like everybody around him, he wants to be better because he's comparing himself to everything else. And he's just so disjointed as far as his characteristics, his personality. I thought it made for a great villain, quite honestly. Like, I was really surprised with it. I think the second time looking at it, I appreciated it more than the first time. Because the first time I was like, man, why did he act like that? But then more I'm looking at certain things that he was saying and biblical references that he was kind of making, I was like, this dude, he is just off.
He had a plan.
Robot.
He had a plan that honestly I liked because it made sense from his perspective. It wasn't low, hey, I'm going to destroy random city number 2. He's like, no, I'm just going to cut straight to the chase, and I'm going to drop this meteor-like city onto Earth, and hey, survival of the fittest. You survive, fine. If you don't, well, hey, tough.
Yeah, like I can understand his plan and everything, but I just felt like it was totally rushed. I mean, he like gets created and then all of a sudden he's just like bad. You didn't go in depth enough into the reason why he felt the way he did. I thought that just like with Hawkeye, they went more in depth into his story, and a lot of the other characters they did, but I felt like they rushed with his plan and why he was doing what he was doing. That's why I wasn't as invested into him as a villain.
Yeah.
That was one thing, the reason why.
I kind of like the fact that he was rushed because, like, he spends, like, 2 minutes on the internet and he's like, this world is so fucked, I need to do something about it.
Oh, yeah, see, and that's why I like it, too, because it's like, well, if he's a sentient computer, of course he's just going to be like, oh.
That just makes me think of Lilu from The Fifth Element. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
I think that's an element people miss, too.
I liked the part when he came out like all mangled and when he was just like creepy and stuff, and all the like Pinocchio references when he was like singing it to himself. That was really creepy. And the fact that he was made by Tony Stark, the humor makes sense, but it just went way too overboard.
I'm hoping that Ant-Man they address the fact that maybe Pym started it, because originally the premise was like Tony Stark was opening up an old program from back in the day.
That's what I heard, yeah.
So I'm hoping Ant-Man, Pym just throws out a line, yeah, you know, me and Howard, we worked on this program, but it didn't go anywhere, and you know.
Yeah, I want to say something really quick here. Nicole, I completely agree that with Ultron, I thought he was a fantastic villain, but his initial motives felt completely rushed in a negative way. It was just like, I mean, maybe if I was born on the internet and I just sucked in all the information on the internet, maybe I might be like, oh, we should just kill all humans. Maybe, I don't know. But it just seems so like, it seemed like the writers and Josh were like, what should we do? And Josh was just like, make him evil immediately. Fuck it. It was just like, all right. I mean,
well, he always had like a misconception kind of idea of what was best for humanity. Like he felt that, you know, and that's why I kind of like about it. They address it a little bit, but they could have went further where he just felt like, hey, look, you know, humanity is cool, but you got to go. So, you know.
Then that's what it comes down to with the extended edition, and everyone's like, maybe they had more in there, and that's why it wasn't as in-depth in the film, because it was cut down so much. And that's why everyone's saying we have to see the extended edition. You know, there might be an extra end-of-credits scene. There might be more in-depth into this character.
And it was funny. I think people would watch, as much as we bemoan, like, oh, Transformers 4 was too long and stuff. I think people would sit down and watch a 3-hour Avengers movie. I mean, we sat down and watched Avatar, for Christ's sake, and that was close to a 3 hour.
I would have totally watched 3 hours. Yeah, I would have watched 3 hours and a half.
Definitely.
I mean, if the story is tight, you can do a 3-hour movie. If it's really good.
That can work.
Well, originally,
even for someone. Sorry, you go.
Age of Ultron was supposed to have been longer because they did actually cut a lot of stuff.
That's how I was going to bring it.
A whole ton of stuff.
Yeah, it was only 3 hours.
Even looking at the trailers, there was like a Wakandan lady that was in one of the trailers. Ultron, like forming like the
Infinity.
Was it? It looked like he had like melted vibranium on his body.
And you never see any of this.
Yeah, the thing with that black lady, she wasn't actually a Wakandian lady. That's been confirmed. She wasn't a Wakandian lady. I couldn't tell you who she wasn't from Wakanda. And speaking of Wakanda, I really was impressed with the fact that we actually got a bit more good reference to Black Panther.
Still rushed either, because
just seeing Andy Serkis there as Ulysses.
He was perfect.
That didn't feel out of place. The bit with Thor going to set up Ragnarok felt kind of out of place to me.
Yes.
Oh yeah, they had to do something with Thor. It really felt like that was my only nitpick about it. Was like,
Thor was just so small.
It got taken out of the actual shot though. What Josh was saying.
Yeah, they just did say that particular scene in the cave wasn't even supposed to have been in the movie. He wanted to cut that out,
Oh.
and he wanted to spend more time. I can't remember what he said. He wanted to spend more time focusing on, but he actually did want to cut out the cave scene. But the studio execs were like, no, you've got to keep it in there. You've got to keep it in there now because you filmed it. Keep it. And apparently there was a bit more footage to it as well. And but obviously with the whole Hawkeye and seeing his life, which I was very surprised about, by the way.
Oh yeah, nice shout out to Ultimate Avengers in that one too.
Yeah, that as well. You know, again, Joss wanted that. He wanted that in there. He definitely wanted, you know, Hawkeye's, you know, other life featured in there. But yeah, the Thor side of things was, I mean, some people were saying, well, it should have been more of an end credit type thing, and I think it should have been. That's how it felt.
That would have been way more
that
exciting than
makes
what we
sense.
actually got.
Yeah. It felt more like an end credit scene. You know, Thor says, "Look, I've got to go and do something because of what Scarlet Witch did to us. I've got to go and get some questions answered." And all we would have seen was him in the pool, and then all the Infinity Stones put together.
That pool scene was so, for me, it felt so random. Like, it just felt like Thor went on like a random
Vision quest. The only thing that was missing was the Thor inside of a peyote tent. He's inside of a tent, and he's on a freaking vision quest with a Native American next to him, and like, hey, smoke this peyote, and then you'll be on a vision of seeing things.
Yeah. It's like he went to a psychotic version of the hot tub time machine or something.
That's all it was. It was like, yeah, bathe in this tub, and you'll see visions.
Guys, he obviously went on vacation.
I mean, if they just did a scene where, like, hey, Thor goes back to... If they did a scene where Thor went back to Asgard, you could have did, like, maybe, say, a 10-minute scene. Thor goes back to Asgard, and he goes through the library or something like that, and he sees that. Because, if you guys remember, Thor 2, his dad more or less established the Infinity Stones in that movie.
Yeah.
In a way, if you remember at the beginning where he said there was 6 powerful artifacts and blah, blah, blah. He established that, so they could have easily said, okay, Thor goes to the library, and maybe you had Heimdall there saying, you know, giving them exposition. I would have been fine with that, you know, because if you wanted to have Thor do something, hey, exposition guys right there, you put them in the library, maybe throw some extras in the background as Asgardian librarians or whatever and stuff, and then exposition, and then Thor goes back to Earth, boom, done. You know, but you throw
they just wanted them to be shirtless. That was it.
Yeah,
You needed it. It's in his contract.
Oh, yeah, you have to. I mean,
He was like, hey, I need a scene where I can go on vacation.
I mean, I'll say this though. I did like this. If you guys caught this part of the movie, this is where I know things in Civil War is gonna be awesome. There was a line when Bruce messed up how to say Wakandan, and like Tony and Steve looked at each other like, oh, they had that face like, oh crap, Panther, Wakanda, damn. You know, it's like they knew bad things were gonna happen as soon as he's like, yeah, Wakandan, whatever, and he's like, oh crap.
I did like that bit as well, because what really made me laugh was when both Tony and Bruce looked at each other, and then obviously Tony was saying how he was in Africa at one point, and then you just see Steve Rogers look at him like, what the hell were you doing there? And he was like, whoa, hang on, there was a convention. I wasn't selling anything illegal, can't
Yeah.
You know, that's the first thing that Steve Rogers thinks. What were you do? What were you selling? Nothing. It was a convention. Calm your tits.
Like, please. Well, and then the thing with his claw kind of snitches on him when he was like, yeah, you know, Tony actually told me that same line when he was selling me blah blah blah. So it's like, wow, Tony lied to him.
Yeah, so Tony did actually sell him stuff, didn't he?
Yeah, he's like, he sold him stuff. So it's like, you lied to him in his face. Like, what are you talking about? But like, I did like the throwaway line with Ultron. He's like, yeah, the most, awesome, mineral alive, and they use it on a frisbee.
They use it on a frisbee, yeah, that was brilliant.
And a frisbee out of it and stuff, and I was like, that's an awesome line right there, because it's like, you get the so I'm curious on how Howard got that vibranium and stuff. So I'm thinking maybe Howard and T'Chaka maybe talk, maybe.
I'm guessing what we'll see at some point will be, obviously now that Agent Carter's getting a season 2, maybe we'll see Wakanda and Agent Carter.
Sorry, every time you say Agent Carter season 2, I'm gonna be like, yes.
But I think now that they've brought it, given it a season 2, I do think now we will get a bit more background story on how the Shield was even made in the first place. You know, and why not feature a bit of Wakanda in Agent Carter? I mean, how old is T'Challa supposed to be?
They're going. He's supposed to be in his 20s in Civil War, so I'm guessing maybe at this point he could be.
Early 30s.
You know, he might he might take over as Black Panther probably around that time.
Right.
You know, taking over it. So you know.
Right.
I'm assuming they might flash back to T'Chaka at some point and stuff, so I'm curious on how they're going to do that.
That was who I was wondering. Yeah, you see, I knew I was going nuts at one point. I thought to myself, wasn't Black Panther a different character altogether? But you just mentioned T'Chaka there, didn't you?
Yeah. His dad was the first one.
I remember hearing that name, and I'm sure when I was younger, when I did start reading Marvel comics at the age of like 11. I do remember reading Black Panther briefly, and that name T'Chaka came up, so that's probably where I'm remembering it from.
Oh yeah, the Black Panther TV show, they established, even in the comics, they established like Captain America at one point back during World War II actually fought T'Chaka, and things like that. Because I mean, they reference that stuff. I don't know if this movie is going to reference that. I doubt it, but I'm pretty sure, like I said, Howard Stark might reference that. Like, yeah, I talked to T'Chaka, and that's how I got the shield, blah, blah, and things like that. Because I think they referenced that on Avengers 2, where it's like, I thought your old man got the last of the vibranium.
Yeah, that bit made me laugh as well when Rogers was like, well, hold on, there's not supposed to be any more vibranium left in the world. I thought your dad had the only amount. Guys, what the hell is going on over there?
Hey, yo, what's going on right now? Whoa.
Guys, it's like, gone into some
like,
sort of
Ultron.
freak.
Oh my god.
I'm so sorry. I promise it's not any of you. I'm so sorry.
Well, I'm getting motion sickness right now.
Yeah. But, I know you, Sam, you put on one of the questions. I know you put on there, like, how is this going to, like, move ahead for Black Panther, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange? I don't think there was no really reference to Ant-Man, so I think that's a good thing because I think it kind of makes Ant-Man stand on its own because you have to. Much like Guardians, you have to have the movie stand on its own. With any reference to Ant-Man and Avengers 2, then it's going to be like, things like that. Doctor Strange, I heard Scarlet Witch is supposed to be in Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange because that's more of the mystical side, and in essence, you can see that Scarlet's power is more mystic, even though it's like telekinesis and all that sort of stuff.
Extension. It's like an extension of the Mind Stone. That was the best thing about her powers. Is that you could see based on how the Mind Stone works and stuff that they really were like, hey, this is her powers, and she could do this and she could do that, because that's what the Mind Stone does. It takes over your brain and stuff. So I like that it was an extension of that. Quicksilver's, I also got the idea that maybe the Mind Stone also opens up your potential. I think that's also a big thing. That's why I was kind of curious on what Strucker did in order to get that to work. That's kind of one big thing that I like about the idea, like, they somehow Hydra, and that's a big thing people miss too. Hydra has been so busy. I mean, they used T'Chari tech at the beginning of the movie when they see him fight the Avengers. That was nice.
Yeah.
And they managed to do all that.
Not the Tesseract, Loki's staff for their powers a little bit, and the Tesseract, just because they're experiments.
Yeah, the mind.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, Tony's arc reactor is a basis off of the Tesseract as well.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's one of the subtle reasons why Tony couldn't get possessed in Avengers a little bit, and then negated it because it's like it is based off that. So.
Yeah. No, that's it.
Hail Hydra.
Hey, look, I like that idea because it wasn't like, it's Avengers versus random, random cannon fodder soldiers. It was like, they got some soldiers with some armor.
They have,
All right.
That's exactly it, and that. I mean, obviously, the universe has established itself really well, and one of the other questions that that Sam asked now, saying, do we think that Marvel has now cast a lot of the main Avengers in Captain America: Civil War? Will it be able to do justice on an epic level as the comic series? Now, I personally have not read any of the Civil War comics. I've not read Marvel comics.
Read it.
Yeah, neither.
You don't
No,
want to.
me either.
Trust me.
I haven't read any.
Trust me. It's not to say it's a bad book. It's just for me personally, I read it like right around issue 4. After issue 4 is where like that event kind of goes downhill a bit and stuff. So I always tell people, it's like, look, don't read the book. You'd be better off not reading it, because you're gonna set, number one, you're gonna set yourself up for failure and thinking that it's going to be verbatim like it. Don't read it. I would read it after the movie, but I mean, the only reason why I recommend Winter Soldier to people is just to kind of get an idea of that movie and stuff. Because at least then you can get an idea, oh, that's how Bucky came back alive, because they froze him and they did this and did that and stuff. But I would not read Civil War, because I think it's so out there and there was so many moving parts in that series. You're just going to be confused.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. Do you guys think that Civil War and like the Infinity movies will actually be dark? Like, I felt like Age of Ultron, it was promoted heavily that it was going to be dark, but I don't.
Yeah.
Winter Soldier was a little bit darker than that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. But
And
it's
then
like
the
one.
Dark World went a little bit darker. I don't like Thor: The Dark World that much, but I think that
No.
went a little
It
bit
was
darker.
dark. It's called The Dark World.
Yeah.
Because it's dark.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I like the Russos, because the Russos, they direct a little bit differently. It's not that they don't embrace the comic book roots, but they're like, look, we know we're directing a comic book movie, but we still want to take the characters seriously. You know, so when you watch Winter Soldier, it's like, okay, well, we got Cap, he's Captain America, but we're treating him like he's a regular soldier, and he's going through soldier stuff like the, you know, Steve and, you know, that's what made Steve and what's his face, Falcon, their relationship so good, because they were soldiers who were trying to adjust to the real world and their things and stuff. Like Sam adjusting, he's a former vet who's adjusting to the real world, and Cap is adjusting to the real world who's still working with S.H.I.E.L.D. So they managed to do that without like, oh, Cap is just chipper, good old soldier, and he's just doing, no, they treated him like a real person, as a human being and things. So I think going into Civil War, they're going to tackle real world stuff, and how would the real world handle these superhuman beings doing stuff overseas that normal soldiers are being paid in the Army and Marines to do. You know, that's why I think that's going to make it work.
Well, I got a question then, because if the Russos are going to be basically hands-on with Civil War, and it's kind of going to be kind of like a hybrid kind of Avengers movie, do y'all feel like Avengers Age of Ultron was better than Winter Soldier or Guardians of the Galaxy or Avengers 1? And do you think that Civil War is going to be better than Age of Ultron?
I think Civil War would definitely be better than Age of Ultron. I don't know why. It's just
I agree.
coming to me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like,
I'm worried though that they've put too many people into the cast.
I have the same fear, Nikki.
Because with Age of Ultron, what they did so well was go in-depth into the background of every single Avenger and every character, which they didn't do so much in the first Avengers movie. So now I'm worried that in Civil War, they're not going to be able to do that. So they're not going to be able to develop further characters that have been introduced. So that's what I'm kind of iffy about with Civil War, except I'm excited about the actual story of Civil War. That's what I'm looking forward to. So I'm kind of like, I've got my ifs and buts about it, like, yeah, is that going to work? So I'm just anxious about the character development being the main thing.
I have that fear too.
Yeah.
I think the Russos could easily make it about Cap, because it is supposed to be Captain America, but Iron Man can easily shadow Cap, but I feel like they can definitely make it about Cap if they do the writing right.
Yeah.
The way I see it here, I mean, to answer, is it? Good Lord, I've forgotten. Yeah, Jarrell's question about what was your question again, dude?
Oh, like,
my question is
better than Avengers 1.
No, Jarrell's question.
My question was like, do you think? I personally, I didn't feel that Age of Ultron was a dark film, in my personal opinion. I think the only thing dark about Age of Ultron was Quicksilver's death and Ultron himself. So I'm curious, do you think Civil War and then the Infinity movies will actually pull back on the humor just a little bit and make it more darker?
Well, It's interesting that you do ask that because I have it on good authority that Marvel are actually going to venture down the dark side. I do feel that they will pull back on the humor. There's still going to be hints of it. Yes, Joss is no longer on any Marvel film, so there's not going to be that much humor. But that being said, I do think that there's going to be more. Yeah, it's going to get more gritty, it's going to get more dark, because we are edging towards the Infinity War. Because, you know, Thanos, as we all saw in the credits, he's going to do it himself. You know, he's decided, enough of me taking the back seat all the way out here in the galaxy. Time for me to drop down on Earth and start stealing these stones and, you know, knocking some heads together. And I do think that the Russos will give it a more darker tone and make it realistic in some sense. And if they do that, I don't want to hear any of those Marvel fanboys come at me and say, I mean, not come at me personally, but, you know, just say in general, oh, why are Marvel going dark now? Are they trying to copy DC, or is it DC influenced them in some ways? No, it's a case of this is the direction they're going in. They started off humorous, they started off all, you know, colourful and, you know, vibrant, and now they basically what they're doing is that they're setting up their characters to eventually realise that, and as Tony Stark pointed out in Age of Ultron, you know, how he points out that he, you know, diverted a nuclear bomb into space, that there is a bigger threat. You know, there is a bigger threat than what is going on Earth, and it's going to get real. It's going to get harsh. People will die, as we've already seen with Quicksilver.
Yeah, actually, I was just about to say, do you guys think that we'll finally start to see not a death, but deaths going into Civil War?
Perhaps.
I think we will. I think we will see a few deaths.
They have to.
Yeah, you can't have everybody alive. You've got to kill a few of them. I do think a few of them are going to die. I couldn't tell you who. I personally believe, though, that I think Hawkeye would probably be the next one to go. Not in Civil War, but probably in... Sorry, Ashton.
Except Scarlet Witch, because she's my wife. If she dies, I quit Marvel.
I don't think they're gonna kill anybody because, like I said earlier, it's too much of a cheap pop. Like, I think that's the thing with Russo's. It's like I said, Russo's could, if Whedon put it this way. Personally, I like Whedon. I think if Whedon directed Winter Soldier, somebody would have got permanently dead.
Yeah, Rumlow would have come back. That's for sure.
Rumlow wouldn't. I think Rumlow wouldn't have came back, and I would have been like, man, that sucks. So it's like, I think with the Russos, they know, okay, we don't really have to kill, you know, people. We can still. I mean, that's what made Nick Fury not dying work, is because, well, he didn't die, but he was grossly injured. He got jacked up. You worried about him. You worried enough to, like, man, is he gonna make it out alive? That's the kind of stuff I like.
I disagree with that. I feel like, especially with Thanos, like, oh my God, Thanos. Like, I feel like if everyone lives somehow, and with Thanos coming on the scene, like, that's so weird to me. Like, especially when he gets all the stones, like, I think killing off some key characters would. I mean, I'm not saying like they never come back, but like at least killing off that actor as that character. I mean, that would be really big for people.
It would make it more. It would make it more intense, and it would make it more you know, realistic, because if everybody watches Infinity War Part 2 and none of the not necessarily the main characters, but say the likes of Hawkeye or Black Widow or Falcon don't die, and let's say, for example, Steve Rogers dies, but Falcon becomes the new Captain America, as he does in the comics, then you've got to really hit people right in between the eyes to say, this shit is real. Captain America is dead. You know?
Or you could just go the opposite way, where maybe Cap, you know, I mean, if I'm following with whatever lines they're going, if I had to assume how they were going to go about, you know, Civil War, maybe he gives himself up to the government and decides to go to jail, and he gives up the shield that way.
Oh my God, could you imagine Cap in jail?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it's one of those things because, like I said, he's a person that follows the rules more or less.
Or being sniped.
Don't say that, Rihanna. Why would you say that? I don't want that to happen.
Hey, wasn't Captain America sniped in the comics?
Yeah, in the comics, he got arrested, and Red Skull found that it was the perfect opportunity.
Cap is
to
my
kill
favorite
him off.
Avenger.
But I mean, you don't even, like I said, you don't have to kill somebody off. Like I said, you can have them like, hey,
Killing
go
our
to jail.
favorites.
That's
You
it.
can have them go to jail, and that's it. I mean, at the time, I thought it was good that when he got killed, this is like around 2007, he got killed.
Yeah.
Marvel didn't bring him back until like 3 years later.
Yeah, they took a long time.
It took a long time, which I felt was good. I mean, you didn't have to kill him, but I mean, you gave us for 3 years, assuming that, well, maybe Steve ain't coming back. Holy crap, like. And like I like that idea. Like as much as we know characters coming back, they could swerve us and say, "Hey, Steve ain't coming back." So I like the idea that maybe in this movie you don't kill Steve. Maybe he goes to jail, or maybe he says, "Hey, I don't want to be Cap anymore. I'm going to do all. I'm going to go to jail." And hey, Sam or hey, Bucky, take over my mantle or something. So,
Yeah. I mean, the other thing I just want to quickly touch on from what Nicole mentioned about the amount of characters appearing in Civil War. I mean, I've said this on Twitter as well, that the next time any of these hardcore Marvel fanboys or other, hardcore geeky fanboys complain that Warner Brothers are putting too many characters in a film, please just go see Civil War and then tell me, come back and talk to me, because this is what I mean about how people will just attack DC films for no reason other than the fact that they just want to slate them. Personally, for me, Civil War is essentially Avengers 2.5. It has got a serious amount of characters appearing. You've got Sharon Carter, you've got Crossbones, you've got General Ross, you've got Falcon. You're going to have Vision in there as well. These
Bucky's back.
and
Sorry.
Bucky as well. So you're going to have the Winter Soldier as well. So there are a lot of characters. And does it feel saturated? It's oversaturated, yes. And as someone touched on earlier, maybe all we're going to see from all these second or third tier characters is just brief views of them appearing. They might do a few side missions here and there. You might get like Alpha Group taking on the bigger threat. You got the Beta Group taking on a infiltration, and then you've got the the Delta Group taking on search and rescue or something like that, So you've got those 3 points. No, you don't have to focus heavily on everybody, as they did with the first Avengers film, and then as well, just as they did with Winter Soldier. I mean, that had a huge cast, and they balanced it out well. And I do think the Russo brothers can emulate what they did with Winter Soldier. It's just that with the amount of people that they've got,
it's going
to be interesting.
Well, they're going to have to deal with that in Infinity Wars as well, because there's going to be even more people, so they're just going to have to step
And
it
it's
up.
a good thing that they're doing 2 parts. Doing the fact that they're doing 2 parts for Infinity War works, because if you did it in one film, it's not going to work. But do it in 2 parts, you've got a better chance of being able to show all the characters what they're capable of, what their role is in the films, and how they're all going to eventually defeat Thanos, if they do defeat Thanos. And if they do defeat Thanos and no one dies, I'm going to be extremely upset.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm expecting somebody to die, just like the comics, but like I said, it's the Infinity Gauntlet, so you know they're going to reverse it with the Infinity Gauntlet. And
Yeah.
I mean, that was the big takeaway. I remember reading the Infinity Gauntlet back in the day. I was like, holy crap, this person got with. Like, Thanos literally puts on the glove. Spoilers if you haven't read it. But, like, he puts on the gauntlet and literally wishes, like, X amount of characters die just to death, and like Daredevil gets killed and a handful of other people die, and it says Captain America and Thor and Hulk and some of the other characters are alive, are the only people alive, and it's like, holy crap, people died. But like I said, by the time we got to the latter half of that whole series, people got wished back alive, by the Gauntlet, which I don't think it necessarily took away tension, but it was just one of those like, holy crap, that's how powerful this thing is. So
I hated that.
That's literally Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I mean, it's a MacGuffin. I mean, it's a good MacGuffin.
I'm
This is
laughing
the only
because
sort of
you say that, and
franchise
I'm like, that's
that I
literally
can.
Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, gosh.
Alright.
This is the only franchise I can kind of think of that having a two-part actually works. Because you've had
Yeah.
so many
I
with
agree.
two-part endings that have just been like, why
Don't
are
we
you
know
doing
it,
two
Nicole?
parts? I don't understand. Like, what's the point? Whereas this actually makes sense to have two parts, or at least I hope it
does make
does.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's so much more to have when it comes to this story and this world, because the world is so big.
Mhm.
So when it comes to having two parts, it makes way more sense than all the ones we've had that are just
And let's-
money, just
yeah.
getting money.
Mhm.
It's frustrating.
Let's not forget, you know, Marvel have established their universe. This is what
Yes.
they're building up towards. They're not like the Harry Potters and the Lord of the Rings and the Hunger Games as we're getting now, where the final films are all split in two. This is, they're building up to something. They really are building up to something, and this is the first of its kind. We've never seen anything like this to happen before, where, you know, they've come together, they said, right, we want to create a universe, who we're going to put in, this is who we're going to put in, what we're going to develop, who are we going to develop, who's going to be in it, say, phase 2, phase 3. You know, is phase 3 the final phase? Are we going to get a phase 4?
I think it works better that way because it's kind of like a movie trilogy, but not.
Yes. So if you keep it as phase 3, then that's pretty much it. You've completed your roadmap, and what's going to happen beyond that? Are we going to see any more Marvel Universe films or even TV shows? I mean, we don't know what's going to happen after 2019 for Marvel.
Oh
and
my God.
2024.
Don't say what's going to happen.
There's still like
It's gonna,
3 more
it's gonna
TV shows
go to
to come out.
phase like. It's gonna go to like phase like 50. It's gonna go to phase 100.
It depends on
It'll
how
go on
far
like
it
Fast and
goes, 'cause
Furious
I
7.
I think phase 4 is going to be where they're going to have. I think phase 4 is going to be the test, because we already know what phase is going to be. I think phase 4 is going to be, okay, Inhumans, pick up the baton, go with it. That's going to be phase 4. It's going to be Inhumans, and
Oh
you know,
yeah, of course,
maybe,
I forgot about them. I forgot about them.
I mean, you got Inhumans, and then you got Doctor Strange, which I remember when they announced Doctor Strange, they were saying Doctor Strange was supposed to be taking over for Iron Man in terms of having that figurehead
Yeah.
the MCU, which I think is
Captain
cool.
Marvel.
Yeah, Captain Marvel. So I think phase 4 is where you're definitely going to see more diverse, maybe more women characters to push to the front. You're going to see more people of different colors and ethnicities getting pushed to the front hold and stuff, and that's where you're really going to do it. And I think it's going to happen with DC too, because I think DC has the benefit of saying, okay, we're going to throw that in there and do this. So
Yeah.
I want to speed up gears real quick, y'all.
Yeah.
Give everybody the opportunity to answer the questions, because we got a lot of people that ask like at least 4 or 5 questions.
oh yeah,
You're like the ATZ
yeah.
reviews guy.
I can't believe you're like.
You won't stop
7:45
asking. It's really
already.
annoying.
Nuts.
Just kidding. I love you, Art.
So I do one. So the first one that I saw recent was from Chris Littleton. He was basically asking, do you think Civil War will be better than Batman vs. Superman? And to segue off of that question, what if that now they're establishing on the Netflix universe with like Iron Fist coming, Defenders coming, Luke Cage coming, and even like, of course, Daredevil has been very successful. What if they start implementing these characters in Civil War or even the next future movies?
Oh, we already.
That's a long ass question.
That's
Oh, we already.
The
We already
real question,
know.
though, do you think it would be better than Batman vs. Superman?
Oh,
Should I just start?
yeah.
I have like the
Including
shortest
yeah. Go for it, Rihanna.
Okay, so I have more background on the Marvel front. So like I love Marvel, but I love DC as well. But I'm just more of a Marvel person. So like I'm really excited about Batman vs Superman, and they're gonna bring in like Aquaman and Wonder Woman and all that jazz, and it's gonna be really cool. But with I don't know. I think Civil War has obviously they both have a lot of potential. But I don't know. I think Civil War is taking this up a notch, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I love Batman. I mean, Batman's one of my favorite superheroes, and I love DC. But with Marvel, like Civil War, Ash.
I'm not laughing at you, Nicole. I'm laughing at the chat. Don't worry.
Yes, I can understand. I assume so. But with
Have we lost her?
Nicole, where are you? Come back.
Oh no!
What happened? No.
Bring her back.
You're GLaDOSing out again.
Did you do something, Ash?
Ash shut her out.
Well done, Ash.
I wasn't even here. What's happening?
You've
I
scared
was
Nicole
looking on the
away.
chat.
Am I back?
Nicole.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are you?
there she goes.
There we go.
Am I
Everyone
back?
blames me.
Yeah, it's your fault,
Yeah.
Ash. No, because
Sorry,
I'm
Nick, what
really
you were
more
saying?
invested into Marvel, so that's why I'm looking forward to Civil War so much more. Civil War. What am I doing that? So that's why I'm so much more excited for it, because it seems like it's been so much more developed rather than Batman v Superman, which is just it feels like it's just starting. I think that's why I'm anticipating Civil War more. I think that's probably the reason why, and I love Marvel more than DC.
Well, for me, obviously, you guys know I'm a big DC fan, so
Oh, really?
I
Yeah.
really will. I am going to anticipate Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad. I'm still pinching myself that we're getting a Suicide Squad movie. Okay,
Yeah.
I still haven't even got used to the fact that they're filming it. B, we've seen the cast photos, and C, it's actually happening. I mean, I'm probably more excited for Suicide Squad than I am for Batman v Superman, because it's the Suicide Squad, okay? Whereas with Batman v Superman, I'm anticipating it because of the other characters that they're bringing in. We're going to see the Trinity for the first time on a big screen. Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. Never in a million years would I have said that I'm going to be alive for that to happen. I hope I'm still alive anyway, come next year. But never in my time will I, turn and just get too excited about it. But Captain America: Civil War, it is building on what Marvel have done. It's established. The characters are established. Well, majority of them are established, and so a lot of people. I don't think it's a case of which one are you more excited for, because we should just all enjoy them equally. Some might turn around and say, "Oh, I didn't like Civil War because it had too many characters." Others can turn around and say, "I didn't like Batman v Superman because it had Batman and Superman fighting."
Yeah.
Everyone will have their reasons why they liked it, why they didn't like it. But me, I mean, I know CJ, you mentioned at the beginning of this video that you saw Age of Ultron 5 times. Well, dude, I kind of beat you in that because I saw Man of Steel 10 times.
Jesus.
Oh man, it's still saw
Damn.
twice, so
I've only
10
seen it
times.
once.
Wait,
Dark Knight
you saw it? You saw it 10 times in theaters?
At the cinema, yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, I've only seen that movie once.
That's how excited I was for Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Oh
And
my god.
I'm trying not to anticipate how many times I'm going to see Batman v Superman next year. For 2 reasons. 1, I'm not single. 2, my girlfriend would actually kill me. So I've got to limit the amount of times I have to go and see it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But if I wasn't seeing someone, who knows? Maybe I would just have camped in the cinema for like the whole week to see Batman v Superman, because I am really excited for it, because it's happening. We're seeing Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, brief cameos of perhaps Aquaman and Victor Stone, and also whoever else is going to appear in the film. So I am really, really excited. But Civil War is going to be a whole different level of epicness, as far as I can tell, because seeing what Marvel have built, and they have done extremely well, and I love what they've done. They've done really well with their films. They have developed their universe. They've built it. They've kept it shared, because you've got the TV shows now. They're all connected. Whereas DC and Warner's aren't doing that. They're separating their universes. But that's because DC operates in more of a multiverse as opposed to one single universe. Yeah. So maybe what we're seeing with the movies, Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Constantine, Gotham, and now DC Legends of Tomorrow, that's going to be developed very soon. Maybe all of these different universes all exist in the same multiverse, and they're all heading towards a major crisis. That's what I think. That's what I feel. That's what I hope would happen. Yes. But yeah, I just think that money-wise, I think Civil War is going to make a serious amount of cash. Like, I think it will make more than Batman v Superman, and I honestly believe it will, because of the development, how developed the Marvel Universe is, how popular the likes of Iron Man and Captain America are, and the fact that they're pitting them two against each other and everybody else involved. You're bringing Spider-Man in as well, so that's a huge draw right there. You know, you're bringing Spider-Man into Civil War. I think Civil War is going to make close to $2 billion, I reckon.
Yeah, it's funny you said that, CK, because the person, a few mixed reviews, he was asking, who do you
garbage?
Who do you think? Who do y'all want to be the new Spider-Man? Out of
Drake Bell.
I mean, I could. I was like,
no.
All right, so Spider-Man is tricky because I know a lot of people were like, well, you can make Peter Parker black and blah blah, but it's like okay. Yeah, Peter Parker does kind of extend to a diverse amount of people. I mean, you can get a black kid that says, hey, I identify with Peter Parker, not because, you know, it ain't really a color scheme, it's just the character himself. He's a nerdy kid that has powers of Spider-Man, and he likes being Spider-Man. If you really want to talk on the surface level, Spider-Man is a bit of a douche because he literally cracks fun of every bad guy that he comes across and makes fun of them. You know, but that's the charm of the character because he's just trying to have fun, make fun of a serious situation at times. So, yeah, you have to start off with Peter Parker. You know, whether he's white or black.
Yeah.
Peter, you have to start off with
Who do you want to
have
play him, though?
I don't mind who I am hearing rumored to play him, which was it Asa Butterfield? That's the
Asa Butterfield,
yeah, Asa Butterfield's been rumored.
Because
I don't like
he's young enough to where you could literally get 4 movies out of him. At least.
Mm.
Now
I want Dylan O'Brien, but that's not going to happen.
Taron Egerton.
Yeah, I mean, you can at least want somebody enough to where you can get 4 movies out of them, not counting crossovers with Avengers if they choose to do that. So you can literally do whatever you want with them. But yeah, even beyond that, they left themselves wide open that you can. Who's to say you can't have a Miles Morales pop up at the same time? So.
Yeah, sure.
The sky's the limits with them on that.
As well. Did y'all catch a reference to Morales in the Daredevil series? So, okay, Foggy, like, you know, like, you got Foggy and you got Matt. Foggy. Basically, Foggy was back in one of the flashbacks, and he was saying that
Gonzalez.
He was like, I just came back from talking to the Morales. And basically, both of like Miles Morales' parents are like lawyers, and so they made nudges to the character. And I was like, "What?"
It's
I had to
canon.
go back and like look at the episodes multiple times. So it's a possibility. You're right. You might be right, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's there. Actually, just to answer the other first questions, I think it's going to be tough to make the call on which is going to be better. I think the hype of finally, after so many years, 20+ years of seeing in comics, I think the hype of seeing Batman vs. Man is going to make people see it multiple times. I also think it might get that Man of Steel like backlash where people are going to be dicks about being negative about the movie instead of just enjoying the movie.
Sure.
And I think that's where I really feel that we as the fan base need to stop splitting these movies and up like you're either DC or Marvel, you can't be both. It's like you can like both.
Yeah.
As much as I didn't like I love Man of Steel, I still had some issues with it, but I still came out with like, oh, that's a Superman. I'm fine with that.
That's what I want to pick up on there, right there, because everybody complained that Man of Steel caused too much destruction. All well and good. Superman wasn't responsible for that. He may have been partially responsible, but he wasn't mainly responsible.
Yeah.
Okay? Zod was threatening to destroy the entire planet. Let's just focus on that for a second. The entire planet was at stake. In the Avengers movie, New York was at stake. Okay, yes, it was invaded by aliens, but just the city was at stake, not the whole world. Zod wanted to change Earth into New Krypton. Mm-hmm. What was Superman supposed to do? Just lie back and let them do that? No, he had to go and stop the machine on the other side of the Earth, whilst the military converged on the on Black Zero. The once Superman decapitated that ship, off they go and take out Zod and his people.
He's only one person too. He's only one.
And he was only one person, precisely. Yet the Avengers, there's 6 of them. Fair enough. They create a perimeter. They contain the damage. But Superman was one person. Let's not forget, he is also just starting out. He hasn't got the experience. He doesn't have that know-how to realize this danger is going to cause problems. You know, it's going to injure people. The people are going to get hurt. Okay, the Smallville fight. He does warn people. Get inside. It's not safe. This, that, and the other. When he catches Fiora and they land in IHOP and, you know, pretty much everything goes to destruction, there's still people in there. However, in both Avengers movies, they were still fighting in populated areas. And if you look closely at Age of Ultron, when Scarlet Witch, you know, messes with Hulk's mind, and he goes on the rampage in the city, you actually see him kick a car, and 2 police officers get pretty much taken out.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it's okay to celebrate that, but Superman gets stick because he doesn't save Metropolis. Yet he actually saved the world from being destroyed. And if we also don't forget in Avengers how Hulk was running through an office floor still full of people.
Yeah.
And when Superman gets thrown through buildings by Zod, they're empty.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, if I really wanted to be, I could nitpick that, but I think people are just like, this isn't my world, and it's like, okay, but here's the thing, you had different, like, if I had to really say, okay, here's my Superman, I would say Superman animated series was a good amalgamation of everything about Superman, because even in that cartoon, when he fought bad guys, they hit the sides of buildings and stuff, and you might see an episode where it's like, oh, a piece of cinder block is hitting the ground, and Superman will pick it, you know, catch it before it hits somebody else. But for the most part, even he wrecked parts of Metropolis and stuff. So it's like, I think that was just people being nitpicky about it and stuff.
It was very nitpicky, and I just feel that people just wanted to slate the movie because it wasn't Christopher Reeve. It wasn't the Christopher Reeve era. It wasn't Richard Donner that was directing it. It wasn't Brandon Routh that was starting. I mean, you know, it wasn't that type of era type movie. And it's like, guys, 21st century, things are changing. Move on. Get with the program. You either get with the change or stay back in the past. It's entirely up to you. For me, I've embraced it because I enjoyed Man of Steel. It's exactly what I wanted from a Superman film, and I enjoyed it so much that when Batman v Superman comes out, my God, I will sit there. I don't care if I'm there like by myself before everybody else gets in, but I'm just going to sit there. I'm going to be like, all my Christmases and birthdays have come together.
Yeah, but I mean, I think in terms of Cap 2 versus Batman v Superman, I think it's going to be close. I think once you get that first trailer, which I think for Civil War, since it's which they're starting now, odds are either at, actually, well, Marvel said it wasn't going to be at Comic-Con. I think at D23 or New York Comic-Con, you might get a sizzle reel of what they filmed so far for Civil War.
Yeah. I think
and Batman v Superman, you're going to get an official trailer, which I think they're going to show it all because they got to start pushing.
They've got to start pushing it. Yeah, no, I agree. They will start pushing Batman v Superman, but I think D23 is going to be where Marvel and Disney are going to showcase their, you know, Civil War and also talk about all the other future upcoming films as well. I mean, if they're making a hall the size that's going to seat 7,500 people, yeah, there's a reason why they're not going to San Diego this year.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what goes into it. I know people say that's bad news, but I was like, look, if your whole purpose of going to Comic-Con was to go just for there, you're kind of missing out on a lot of stuff that Marvel's doing, because guess what? Marvel Comics is going to be there. If you're really interested in the comics, go to those panels.
Just go to the panels, yeah. Exactly. If people are just going there just because of the films, well, where did the films come from in the first place? Where did the stories for those films originate from? It's from the comics. So go to the comics panels, have a listen in, have a watch, you know, all that sort of stuff, and then when D23 comes along, go over there. I mean, there's a reason why Disney now own Marvel. You can't have a D23 Expo and not have Marvel showcase their slate of films. Why have them at San Diego Comic-Con as well? You know, you might as well put them all under the same roof, and D23 is the perfect place for it. It's that simple. There's no reason in having them at Comic-Con and then at D23. You can have them at D23, and then later on, you've got New York Comic-Con. So those really is where they should be focusing where they should be showcasing all their big films and such. And you know, for me, for Marvel not to have a movie presence at San Diego, shouldn't hinder the fact that people shouldn't go. They shouldn't turn around and say, "Oh, well, I'm not going now because Marvel aren't going to be showcasing their films there." Well, before Marvel even became a studio, you know, people were still going to Comic-Con anyway.
Yeah.
Hell, support DC while you're there. I mean, hell, go support DC in Hall H. I mean, because you know DC right now. Hall H is like I said, Hall H is going to be nothing but Suicide Squad, because you know they're going to show clips from that.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, I think Suicide Squad is DC's Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think it's going to go over real well with people. It's going to be rated R. From what I'm hearing, it's either going to be rated R or PG-13. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe rated R.
I hope it's rated R.
PG-13 it was terrible.
Wait,
that's true.
for which one? That you think is going to be rated R?
Suicide Squad.
It's got to be rated R. I can't see it being anything
I couldn't see it not being rated R either.
It's going to be PG-13.
It better not.
Who said
It
that?
doesn't want to be. I'm sorry, but if you've got the likes of Harley Quinn, right? You've got Harley Quinn, you've got Killer Croc, you've got dead shots in a film. Don't make it rated R. This thing has to. I mean, do make it rated R. Sorry.
Yeah.
You've got to make it rated R because, I mean, I read the comics, I read the Suicide Squad, and I just think, you know, even when I'm reading the comics, I'm still sitting there thinking that they're making this into a film. They're putting these characters on film. Like, you've got to make it rated R because I want to see people get killed.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Deadpool. Like, they thought that Deadpool was going to be, like, secluded just PG-13, but lo and behold.
Exactly. And if you can make Deadpool PG-13...
Deadpool's rated R, and I think that's going to
make that rated R, then Suicide Squad's going to have the same
Deadpool, honestly, Deadpool is going to be the litmus test, because if Deadpool goes over well, it makes a lot of money, then you're going to see DC like, okay, we're going to make Suicide Squad rated R and maybe add in X, Y, and Z and stuff. Because, like I said, I think Deadpool starts off 2016.
Yeah, February.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, okay, we're going to, you know, get Deadpool rated R. Marvel Studios might say, hey, look, we might do a Punisher movie. Or I think Punisher's going to be a Netflix series, so I don't know why I'm saying that. But it's going to open it up to where, you know, Marvel Studios might say, hey, look, we'll take a gamble on a rated R project. What do we got?
Exactly. You know, they've got to. And I think that's the beauty of it. You have to take these risks. And if you don't take the risks, well, then what are you doing making movies for? Why are you in business in the first place? You know, it's all about the risk taking. And I've always said that after the first Iron Man movie, Guardians of the Galaxy was Marvel's second biggest risk.
Ant-Man's going to be the next test.
Ant-Man's definitely going to be the next test. Yes, I agree. It is going to be their third risk taker in terms of the movies that they're bringing out. But for DC and Warner's, Suicide Squad is also going to be their risk taker. We can say in some sense, Batman, Superman could also be a risk taker.
Oh no, that's going to make money just because.
But that's just going to make money purely because Batman and Superman are in the film. That's it. Yes.
Yeah, it's the same as Man of Steel. It's like we went in there, and because I mean, as much as people hate on them, I think people don't want to be honest with themselves. Hey, it was better than Superman Returns, and that's why it made the money that it made.
That's why it made a lot of money. Yeah, exactly. So that's it. So, but oh, good lord, I don't know if we want to finish up here, guys. So
yeah, we're gonna have to.
Yeah. Sorry for talking too much. It's just being passionate about this.
Do y'all want to try to do this for a part 2? To try to include like London City Girl, Adele.
Yeah.
Y'all want to try to continue this another time?
Yeah, we can do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Get another Aussie in there.
Yeah, I was going to say there's no Adele or anybody else, so
yeah. There was supposed to be 3 other people, but they had family stuff that they had to take care of.
Yeah.
So,
it's all good. I mean, I might make the next one, I might not, but hey, at least I got it out there. I mean, I like talking a lot. That's how our podcast is. And so you get caught up talking about something. It's like, oh, hey, 2 hours went by. Oh man, we got slow.
We got caught up. Everybody got caught up.
Yeah.
So, what do y'all want to shoot for as far as part 2? If y'all were you pick a day.
Me. I've got no free time available until. Well, I was going to say in 2 weeks' time, but I'm kind of celebrating turning 35.
Oh wow.
And then the week after that, I'm going away. So June is pretty much all I've got. So yeah, anytime in June, unless I say otherwise. But June is I'm pretty much free in June.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about y'all?
I'm free whenever I have no life.
Rihanna.
I'm legit. I finished uni. I have nothing to do.
I'm hosteling at the moment, so I am kind of up in the air. So I'll let you know if you
Well,
guys
it could
choose a
work if
date.
you could work when you're in the UK.
Oh yeah,
And then
when I'm in the UK,
be together.
yeah,
To
from
go
the
on an amiibo hunt for me.
yeah, I will, Ash. I'll do that for you. From the 13th to the 20th, I will most likely be able to do any time.
Okay.
So whatever works for you guys.
I'm always free weekends, so I'm pretty good to go for now. Yeah.
Okay. Ash, Chris.
Sometimes I'm free. Sometimes I'm at Target. Mostly at Target.
It's depending on my schedule, because I know, like I said, I'm prepping for Awesome Con, and since we got New York Comic Con, I'm trying to figure out some things and stuff. So I'm like, I'm open, but at the same time, it's just like I said, this worked out because it's before we do our podcast and stuff. So,
Okay. Well, let's walk around the first weekend in June, and we'll see where we're all available, and we'll just instead of it being centralized to Avengers, let's make this just a full Marvel Cinematic Universe.
We can finish up those questions for those people too. That helps too.
Except for a few mixed reviews, I don't want to answer his questions.
I'm sure.
It's horrible. God.
It's horrible.
As well.
I know him before people attack me. I know him. Everyone's gonna be like, "Why are you being so mean to this guy?" I'm like, no, Chase.
I just want to quickly say as well before we go, I'm pissed off at NBC cancelling Constantine.
That was a long time coming, honestly.
I know it was a long time coming, but all I've got to say is that I really hope that it does get another a new broadcaster.
WB is looking for another distributor, so I'm hoping Hulu picks it up.
I'm hoping Netflix picks it up.
Hey, real quick, just to have a clear idea, because we like went all over the place. Not as a bad thing, but like, what did you guys rate Age of Ultron? Like, I gave it
an epic win.
I gave it a 9. I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll give it a 9 out of 10 as well.
Yeah, I gave it a B+ the first time, and I gave it an A the second time. I think I moved that down to A-.
Yeah, mine's was A-, because I think with me, the very first time I saw it, I was like, okay, maybe I need to see it again at the second screening just to kind of get an idea, like I'm not like freaking out. So when I saw it the second time, I was like, okay, A-.
It's like at the moment I don't know if I like it more than Mad Max or Mad Max more than it. That's my thing.
To me, it's better than the first Avengers. I think Guardians of Winter Soldier has it beat a little bit because those movies were more like those movies were pretty much had a straightforward story and there was no weak links in it for the most part. There was no weak links and stuff. But like I said, with Avengers 2, the weak link was Thor's random adventures at the pool of visions. So,
that was Okay, good stuff. Right, well, I'm out. It's like 1:15 in the morning here, so I need sleep.
I'm gonna be staying up for a while.
So it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, everybody.
Later.
We'll regroup back in June.
Sometime in June.
Yeah, just a message.
All right, cool.
All right.
Thank you for having me on, Sam.
All right, everybody.
Bye.
Thank
Thanks
you
for watching me eat food on live air.
Commenting and being a part of this. Y'all are awesome, everybody that's in the chat.
Thank you,
Ash,
Sam.
I'm not jealous of your Batman v Superman posters behind you, by the way.
What was that?
I'm not jealous, not in the slightest.
Oh, I got both of them too.
Are you super not jealous that Sam and I are seeing it a week early?
Oh, are you guys seeing it together, or
No, we went to the IMAX event, And
Yeah.
they gave us the posters, the tickets a week ahead of time, and then we got to
I
see
didn't know if
the
you.
trailer in
You're all
IMAX.
forgetting something, by the way. Okay, just remember, Marvel released their movies a week over here ahead of you guys. Okay, so
You guys also
just
get it like
bear that
John
in
Wick
mind.
last week.
Okay,
Oh my god.
so when Captain America: Civil War comes out here, yeah, just bear that in mind. Okay,
Where is
I wouldn't be surprised.
Don't.
I would not be surprised if
Rainbow
Warner's
eyes that
actually
shine.
do a U-turn and decide to release Batman v Superman a week early here in the UK as well. So
Oh,
No.
man, don't tell me that.
But I
Just
won't be able to attack them. Ah!
right, boys.
All right, everybody.
On the flip side.
Later, y'all. Thanks everybody for checking out this stream. This was awesome. YouTube, y'all have a great night, and let everybody know about this. SEL0320 signing out. This was our 2-hour review discussion on Avengers: Age of Ultron. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed. Later.